This is S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to S4, where we talk about the real shit involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live from the S4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains of Washington State. And we'll talk about that because there's some really hot topics happening in the Cascade Mountains. Anyway, we also cover topics such as disaster and terrorist response and preparation, not just the paranormal. So tonight, it is the 25th of January, and tonight we're talking alien abduction in the movies, Fire in the Sky with Travis Walton, Fourth Kind, Destroy the Hypnotherapist in Nome, Alaska, Blue Book, and is there any truth to these stories? So tonight with us we have Cole Wegleitner, our co-host, Kayla Wegleitner, our research specialist, Don Davidson, our California consultant, Jami Justice, our local consultant, and special guest Barry Gaunt, director of Kentucky MUFON, host of Into the Fire, and the leader of Night Stalkers Paranormal. How are we all doing, folks?
Good.
Hey, we're all doing great.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it's an awesome show tonight for several reasons, because I have some special announcements we are going to make. But this is the last S4 on Saturday nights. You can find us next week on Sunday.
Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
To 10 p.m. Which means you don't have to stay up half the night to listen to the show. And we don't have to stay up half the night talking to you. I mean, you don't know how exciting that is. It actually makes it a lot easier for us to pull in special guests when we're an earlier show. Because there's a lot of guests that we've tried to get on S4 that just, and I don't like doing pre-records. Because I know a lot of our listeners out there don't like listening to pre-records. They love the fact that we're live and then they have a live chat room they can go into. You know? So, honestly, it's been hard to get some guests on the show because, frankly, at 2 o'clock in the morning when we start Eastern Standard Time, they're going to sleep. So, yeah, I see it, Tim. I know East Coasters thank us. Yep. Starting Sundays, we will be on from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 1. Yeah, it'd be 10.
Oh, yeah.
We start at 7 p.m. Yeah, I'm getting this crazy look over here. Also, so we are starting up, for any listeners that want to jump into the research side of stuff, we are starting up an S4 research team. So, Jami, you're going to be excited because we have some plans when it starts getting warm. We're actually going to go and start doing some expeditions up in the Cumberland, Finney Creek Pass area. So we will be setting up base camp, doing some camping, looking for Bigfoot. We also plan on hiking the entire South Skagit Highway with gear.
Not all of us do.
Oh, easy there.
Oh.
It's a long hike, man.
Me and you, Eric. Me and you plan on hiking the South
Well, we're also so we are also picking up trash. We're picking up trash as we hike too, just to clean up our environment.
I will be driving behind them to make sure they keep going.
Exactly. And give us
okay,
water.
so you're going to add the
Thank you,
fumes
Paul.
that we just cleaned up.
But honestly, South Skagit Highway has so many paranormal stories from the haunting side to the cryptid side to the UFO side that it just can't be overlooked. It's in our backyard. Speaking of our backyard, for all of our listeners, just go on your Google search engine and look at WSDOT Bigfoot. Happened 3 days ago. And the Washington State DOT transportation supervisor actually came out and said, check this shit out. They caught Bigfoot walking across an open snowy field on a traffic cam. Look at it. It is hard as hell for that to be a fake. I'm going to be blunt with you. I compare that to the Patterson-Gimlin film. If you look at the Patterson-Gimlin film, he stops and actually does the twist and looks at the camera. Very similar to the Patterson-Gimlin film. Now, coming from a traffic cam, that's kind of hard to fake. And what really baffles me about that video is the transparency of it. Because if you look at it, he almost looks transparent in some parts of it. To me, that actually... Okay, so Don, no, don't look at the image of the Bigfoot, look at the video, because the image of the Bigfoot looks like a cutout against a tree. There's a couple different stories going on. And for those that have seen the video, that's on Sherman Pass. Sherman Pass is the end of Highway 20 on the eastern Washington side.
Yeah, right over by Kettle Falls.
So it's actually in our backyard. But what baffles me again is the transparency of the image. Because as he's walking, he almost looks transparent, which feeds into my interdimensional thought. I've always thought Bigfoot was interdimensional. If he was interdimensional, that would explain transparency. It could be transparency, or it could be visual image from the camera against the snow. That's always a possibility too. We haven't had our own because we do have Josh Hamilton, our video analyst. I haven't assisted him yet. I'd also like to reach out and talk to the DOT supervisor, ask him some questions. So when it gets closer to spring and it's warmer out and we start making some plans, we also have Eric Markham, our S4 scientist, is going to fly out and do some trips with us as well. So if you want to jump into the research team, by all means, get a hold of me. Medicine Eagle, MEDICYNE_Eagle at yahoo.com. Going to be set up a GoFundMe as well, so we can hopefully get some sponsors in to get some research gear, some survival gear, that kind of thing for our trips. And let's see what else we got. It's not midnight, so I'm not going to make that announcement yet. And we have to give a shout out to the Netherlands, Austria, and Finland. We got listeners. We love having our listeners. It's always fun looking at our geo map to see who's listening. And those are the... I think I've seen them on our geo map before, but I love having foreign listeners. That's always awesome.
You know what, though? I'm going to give a shout out to all our North American listeners because they make up 75% of all our listeners.
Oh,
so.
I know it.
Oh, there you go.
And so does Slovenia. I just like saying
Slovenia.
that. Slovenia.
Right.
Slovenia. I like it too. That's really nice. I like the way that rolls.
I feel like I should be holding a vodka when we say that, though.
Slovenia.
Oh, that's Croatia. All right. So what's going on in the world of Kentucky MUFON, Barry?
That's a good question. We just had an abduction case come through a little bit about 4 hours ago.
Oh, damn.
Everything is going well over here. The area for Kentucky, the size of Kentucky, it's really kind of like one of the 6 largest areas that report UFOs by the size of its state. Obviously, California, Texas, all these areas where you've got all these people that are living there and everything else, and then you come down to the mountains areas in Kentucky, Tennessee area, not as populous as those areas, but by reports, it always comes up very high. And a lot of the activity that we've been seeing around here, it does happen around Louisville and Lexington, larger cities, but it's amazing how much of it falls within. You always run right through the 37th. And where I'm sitting at right now, I'm at about 36.8 on that where that off that parallel runs right through by Mammoth Cave, and it's always been a great sighting area. So everything is going good here. And I talked to my counterpart, Angelia Shear, a little bit earlier today, and things are going great in Tennessee. So it's happening. It's going strong. So
Good.
Very interesting.
Yeah, you guys have a whole lot of activity that goes on in Kentucky. I know. I mean, you got hell years in Kentucky, and we're going to talk about this later on the show. But you got the Hopkinsville case that happened in Kentucky.
Oh yeah.
What do you have in the way of cryptids?
Well, we've got Dogman, and we also have Bigfoot. Bigfoot is very alive and well here in Kentucky. Seeing quite a lot. Runs the whole Appalachian chain. Ours is maybe a little bit different than the West Coast. Ours is maybe a little bit more aggressive. Definitely a meat eater and a hunter for sure. So
now, is it called Bigfoot in Kentucky, or do you guys have the swamp ape?
No, we definitely have Bigfoot here. We have sheep squatch. We have he has several different names. You know, honest to gosh, we got a sheep squatch here in Kentucky, and yeah, it's very interesting. Crypto is very big, and of course, we also have the other things. We have the feral type human type things where I kind of put into the True Hilliard deal. We'll talk about that later when you're ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'll give you my thoughts on that. But yeah, there is so much happening here in Kentucky. It is a paranormal paradise, if you will. If you're looking for the paranormal, old Kentucky is nothing but an old Indian name. It was a great hunting area, buffalo, everything else all through this area. Ancient site, 13th state in the country. And it is a popular little place. It used to be all Virginia at one point, and but now it is very, very active location.
We'll call it the paranormal soup state.
There we go. Exactly. It's like a stew. But I also do the Octagon Hall Museum. If you don't mind me just poking a plug for that. Mm-hmm. Octagon Hall Museum is one of the South's most probably haunted location. It's a great paranormal location. It sits on 300 acres of property here in Franklin, Kentucky, and it is a paranormal playhouse, if you will. And it also it's about a 4,000 foot structure made into an octagon, 3 stories high, all solid brick. Based on it's a pre-antebellum home, meaning it's before the Civil War. And it goes, we've had 9,000 Confederate soldiers there and 5,000 Union soldiers there, so it dates back into that period also. A lot of tragedy, but it's definitely haunted. So, and it is available for people to come out and take historical tours and also come out and do a paranormal investigation if they like.
We might just take you up on that sometime.
Hey, we would love to have you.
Yeah.
Love to have you.
That's a little bit of a trek. Hey,
Yeah.
what about that Kentucky devil monkey? I heard about it, a Kentucky devil monkey.
That's the only people have seen me walking around every once in a while. They may call me that.
All right.
I'll be honest with you, truthfully. I have never heard of the Kentucky devil monkey.
Oh, really?
I've heard of the lizard man. I've heard of everything else, but the day that the devil monkey comes knocks on my back door, I will give you a call right away, though.
I want to hear about that devil monkey if he ever comes and knocks on your door.
Are you confusing that with the
I
Jersey
found out
Devil?
their
No,
moonshine.
there is a devil monkey that's supposedly in Kentucky, and it's like a mini Bigfoot. It's like a 4 foot tall, and they call it the devil monkey.
Okay. Okay.
You know what? I have actually heard of what we just call that feet. The foot or whatever. But yeah, there is a smaller type of Bigfoot creature, but what we consider isn't hanging in trees and everything else, and we just consider that to be the younger children of Bigfoot, just no different than we do. They have babies and kids roaming around, and they're out here. So
yeah, and that's the same thing here. We've had witnesses that have seen families of Bigfoot up here in our backyard, basically. So yeah, I have no doubt. Now, what's been your stories in the South? As far as, do they hibernate, or maybe not hibernate's not the right word, but do they go up to higher elevations in the winter?
The way that I like to look at it here is that they follow a path, and they do move for food and everything else. They follow waterways. We have a lot of waterways here in Kentucky. They follow the Appalachian. Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Tennessee. If you come down the Appalachian mountain chains, it drops right down in there, run it through that area, and they move back and forth in that. I am in the same way you are, Eric. I am very believe that they are very interdimensional. They move between portals and so forth.
Right.
When you're tracking them, and we do get snow every once in a while down here. It's very few and far between. But I've tracked them up farther north in Ohio, West Virginia. I've seen snow tracks, followed their tracks, and all of a sudden, just in the middle of nowhere, they're gone.
Yeah.
Same thing with mud, and same thing everywhere else. And as far as hibernating goes, I don't know where they go. They do build structures. I've seen structures in Salt Fork, Ohio, at the state park there. I've seen them even. We've got a foot. We casted a foot not too long ago, right in the back of Octagon Hall that I spoke about earlier. That he's seen there quite a lot, and it kind of makes you think. All of a sudden he's there, and then all of a sudden he's not there.
Right.
Exactly. And he's also been known to show up when there's UFO activity. So is he got an alien kind of background? We don't know for sure.
And I've heard both sides of that. I've heard witnesses that saw a Bigfoot coming out of the craft that was landed in the woods, and basically collect soil samples, water samples, get back on the craft. The craft takes off. But then I've heard the flip side of that, where witnesses, and there is still few and far between, but you'll have a UFO sighting and you'll have Bigfoot running away, terrified of the UFO. I've heard both sides of that story. Which, I've said this on the show before, but if aliens are abducting humans, why aren't they abducting? They could very easily be abducting Bigfoot as well, if it's all for DNA.
True, 100% right. And also, I go a little bit farther than that. Imagine if they've already abducted them and they're using him as a slave or anything like that, that they do come here and eventually drop them off. And they're doing that, and they pop them back in when they want to.
Yeah,
kind of a different take, but there is definitely something. The Bigfoot, some of these creatures around, like the Dog Man, everything else. There are a lot of similarities to these things. They appear, they disappear. We know that we're going through portals and so forth. We hear more about portals all the time. So who's to say that doesn't happen that way?
Now, what have you heard about Dogman? Is Dogman a physical being, or has there been any indicator that Dogman is interdimensional?
I still feel the same. All these things to me right now are interdimensional because they disappear and they appear again. They're in an area that all of a sudden they're not. Land between the lakes, over by Lake Barkley. Everything else is dogman territory. Just outside of me, I live in Franklin, Kentucky, going towards Allen County, Scottsville area. In that area, dogman have been seen going walking the roads out there, and also, this is an area of giants. Back in history, we've actually had people even digging up gigantic giants, 9 to 12 feet tall, with heads as big enough to be able to put our heads inside their jaws with 2 rows of teeth. So
you guys had that big dig up there where they found like 26 of those heads.
Yeah, we've seen quite a lot of it here in Kentucky. So, when you talk about the paranormal, you talk about the outrageous stuff. We talk about dog man, everything. It's all possible. It's all here. But like I do say, we never see a dog man body. We don't consider them. Are they like lichen? Are they the type that come out at night, full moon stuff? No, I don't think so. We're not seeing them howling or doing that only on a full moon, and not reported during a full moon for some darn reason. But I'm very much alive under the guise that it's all interdimensional and it's historic. This is ancient property and ancient things, and who knows what the heck was here before us. Everything that we have, and I'm under the way of going, we've been lied to for years about all kinds of stuff. Right. If we believe that Christopher Columbus was the one that first found this place, I think we've got a pretty good argument to say that's bull crap. So,
And the giants are just the dumplings in the stew. Yep.
Yeah. Well, the bad thing about the giants are, I've done some research all the way up into Pennsylvania, all the way. Here in Kentucky, Ohio, New York, they've been reported in several different places, But when you start thinking about these giants and where they've been mound builders, all this stuff, they show up in mounds, areas, and you kind of go, they dig them up. The Smithsonian Institute's involved with them. Cambridge has been involved in them. They're taken all the way back to 1846. There's records of them. And then what do you find? You start doing the research, you start kicking the doors and sniffing the dirt, and you find out, hey, where are these bodies? Where are these things? Where are these bones? You're collecting everything else? Oh, we don't have them. We don't have any of that stuff. They're not categorized anywhere. Are they dumping them in the ocean? What are they doing? Because it doesn't fit their conditioning that they're trying to put us through right now.
I'm just saying, if giants are a real thing, it would explain and it would make Stonehenge a lot easier for them to have made.
Oh, right. Exactly. Same with the pyramids, same with everything, I mean, there is a lot of things that say, yep, pretty interesting.
Right, that's just a baby giant with those building blocks. Mm-hmm. Here's my pyramid.
So what's going on in the world of Jami?
Yeah.
Yep.
You quiet over there. What's going on?
Oh, I was letting you guys yuck it up there for a bit.
And Don's going, thank God he's not picking on me tonight. All right, so who's seen Fire in the Sky?
Yep.
I did.
I have.
I have too.
I watched it.
We're gonna get to you, Barry, because I know you actually met Travis Walton, and I can't wait to hear that story.
Yeah, we've met Travis a few times. Mm-hmm.
So when I first saw Fire in the Sky, I think when it first came out back in the '80s, actually, and that was before I was even into the abduction UFO.
Pretty sure you didn't.
Huh?
Pretty sure you didn't.
Oh, when it first came out, I saw it. I can't remember what year it first came out.
1993.
1993.
Yeah.
See, I did, and it's interesting because I didn't get into the UFO field until 94. So yeah.
So it's a precursor to your UFO field.
It was.
Hey.
It was. And it happened in Snowflake, Arizona.
Yeah.
And I know, according to Travis, and we'll get into Cole's take on it too, because Cole just watched it for the first time here, 2 weeks ago?
A week ago.
A week ago.
Really? Awesome.
And well, he watched it so he could actually talk about it tonight. But even Travis said, when they made the movie, they added characters to the story. I mean, what if you want to get a movie based on fact? Why are you going to spoof it up? It had enough detail not to be spoofed up. It really did.
Well, extra characters were added and some were taken out.
Right.
No, I don't think they wanted it to be really a movie based on facts. I think they wanted to reel the viewers in, saying it was based on fact. But I think that's pretty much about as far as it gets close to that fact.
Well, every dramatization says it's based on some form of fact or whatever.
Well, we'll get to Blue Book in a minute.
It can be the smallest amount of fact.
So you've actually met Travis. You know him personally, Barry. What has he ever told you how he felt about Fire in the Sky? About the movie?
Yeah, when last time we were together, I think that was last year during November. We were at a friend of ours' house down in Tennessee, Angelina Shear. She had him and Deborah down there and doing a little bit personal one-on-one type talk with Travis, and it was a very interesting evening. It's the same thing. His story is a very special story. Unfortunately, when you get to TV, everything is dramatized. Everything else it's not like it is.
Right.
He's even, if you've read the book, it's a little bit different than that. He came out with a different book. It's like part two, like the upgraded version or a revised version of Fire in the Sky.
Right.
Look, it's a true story, and some of the things that happened into it were not covered in the film and were dramatized, and some of it was not. I mean, Travis, I've got a friend here right now. I don't know if you ever heard of Eric Mitchell before. Eric was with him in Maine, lived with him for a little bit up in Maine, and also an abductee. Talked very open with him quite a lot. I wish Eric was sitting here with us tonight. I think he went down to the you got to hear this. Somebody's having a rave down the street, and I think he said, "Hey, wow, the rave! Wow, I got to go down there and check that out." But
he'll come stumbling. He'll come back stumbling into the middle.
Exactly. So maybe we'll get to hear his version. But yeah, Travis is. The story is quite different when you hear it from him and you're sitting around and doing it. And his, from all the talks he's had, I've seen him speak in several different venues. And as you know, just now, his talks are going a little bit more into the theories of exactly what was going on, how it happened. Because each abductee that you deal with has a part of the puzzle I always look at.
Right.
And they're all dealing with the shock of it happening to them and what, how it sets back their life. But
you have to work on the human toll.
Yeah, and there's a major human toll to it. I mean, you're just uprooted out of that, and everything else is taken away from you. Most of the people have a hard time. That's why we have suicides and abductees. We have people that just cannot cope with it. And we don't have enough people out there that are trying to help anyone to talk to them and be able to give them the a place to vent and be able to listen to them,
And that's so irritating because, years ago when I was in the middle of all this, and I was trying to get like an abduction peer support type group, what you found, because I contacted one in Seattle, and they had the opinion that there's no such thing as abduction. They have wonderful experiences, and they talk to aliens all the time, and yada yada yada. And those aren't abductees; those are contactees. And
right,
the contactees are the ones that have these wonderful, benevolent experiences with wonderful brothers in the sky, essentially. And those do happen. It depends on the race, but the abductees are the ones that have this. The races are taking them; they're doing medical experiments on them. You've got the hybrid program with the Greys. You've got 16 different races that are abducting, each with their own agenda. And I mean, that's only 16 documented. That doesn't mean there's only 16 races abducting. There's a lot more than that.
Sure.
But, some are doing it for the social experiment. Those are the ones that the abductees watching basically a TV screen with apocalyptic views on it. And the aliens are doing mind scan on them, watching their emotion. So I call those the social experience, social experiments. Then of course,
okay.
Yeah.
Say again.
Very good point.
I actually wanted to touch bases on part of that right there.
Okay.
Keith's not on tonight, right?
No.
Okay. Well, when I tried to talk to him about before, I was asking him. I wasn't able to make it clear, I guess, what I was trying to say. But when I was asking him about, they come down and they want to, what are they watching us for? What do they, need from us, whatever? And he's saying, lots of different things and stuff. I just want to know, they've been doing this for so long, watching this Earth and watching us and stuff. Have they not figured out that we just aren't really worthy of that? And they're already past us in intelligence, in their health, and, their craft. I mean, everything. Why would they want to sit and keep watching us over and over again? You mentioned something about the generational,
yes.
Watching and observing, but they're already bypassed all of the things that go wrong with us, physically, right? They don't have disease, cancer, or
that's not
any of that, right?
True.
But you need to think of it along the lines of, so there's two different trains of thought with that. One is, what if they seeded us? What if they seeded the planet? And what if they're just watching the genetic manipulation, the DNA changes, and watching for any anomalies that pop up? The other thought
But
process...
that's what I was...
Right, go ahead.
But that's the part I was getting at. I mean, just from what I have heard, now granted, there's a lot more out there than I've heard, but I was under the impression that they were far superior to us, that they didn't have, like, hunger and disease and all the rest of those things. So that kind of blows the observation thing out of the window, because why would they need to watch our genetics or anything if they don't even have to worry about that?
So the other train of thought with that, though, if you look at the genetic changes, what if they want the planet? Not for a takeover. I don't want anyone to ever think, Eric's saying there's going to be an alien invasion. No, there's not going to be an alien invasion. They don't give a damn. If they wanted to take this planet, they could have done that a long time ago, and you wouldn't even know it.
Yeah, before we put it up.
Right.
To our future alien overlords, we do not all agree with Eric Cooper's statement.
But the other thought is, what if they want the planet intact? What if there's resources they want here, and they want to see what resources are changing our DNA?
Well, I've always looked at it this way. As far as the Earth is concerned, and as far as we're concerned, we are far superior to whales, to dolphins, to all of the animals and mammals that we have on the Earth. Mm-hmm. Yet, we still take them, we study them, we poke and prod at them, we see what makes them squeal. Whatever it is, we still do that to them. even though we're far superior, even though we have none of the diseases that they have, or we have this or we have that, and they don't. So I think it's...
What are you doing to these animals that they're squealing?
Yeah. But aren't they, don't try to find animals that are as close to us as possible to aid in their research for our diseases and stuff that we have, though?
Exactly.
Like,
so who's to say that the aliens are not taking us to aid in the fact that they might have some kind of a catastrophic disease on their planet, and they're trying to see if maybe something in us can help cure that?
Alien numbers.
You've got to understand there's hundreds of races. Hundreds. Some of them we don't even know are watching us, but they are watching us. Some of them don't interact. They only watch. And some of them don't really give a rat's ass about humans. They've got enough on their plate. There's also wars between races that go on all the time that we still don't know about. Which leads to my next question. Barry, what do you think about the Space Force?
You mean Star Trek? I mean, Space Force.
Well, let's bring it back. You want me to talk about... Oh, man, I'll tell you one thing. Great comments on the alien stuff. You know, and E.T., there's thousands... There are hundreds of races. You know, heck, back in the early days, Clifford Stone and everything else, 54 different races were categorized that we know of at that time, or 56, I think it was.
Yeah.
But, you know, hey, look, it all ties together. Space Force, oh, God. Eric,
so do you think the Space Force... Do you think the Space Force is created to stop abductions?
No. You know what I think? I think the Space Force may be prevented, maybe just a part of people realizing that. And guess what? If you believe that we're still shooting, if NASA is still shooting a rocket up in the sky, you know, it's how dumbed down do you think that they have taken us to go and say, wow, it's 2020, and wow, let's watch NASA shoot this rocket of fuel up in the air when the SR-71 Blackbird was almost in the stratospheres back 40 years ago.
The TR-3B.
You know, if you don't, and you know, going to other planets, moon planets, all of these things, we've had a Space Force, and I always think it's funny, you know, because you go back and research, and I know you've got some great researchers, you're going to find that there was the United States Space Force. There was the U.S. Navy Space Force. There's the U.S., you know, all of it. And they've been around for like 10 years. And then now all of a sudden the catchphrase is, the Space Force is coming.
We were talking this a couple weeks ago. Didn't it? Reagan actually brought up a Space Force back in the 80s.
Right. I mean, he did, and you got, you know, it was on the tip of my tongue, and I just flew off of what the heck they called that dang thing. But, you know, it was brought up in the 80s. Look in, I always call HR, what is it? Can't remember it. But back in the 90s, when Dennis Kucinich was a senator, he's talking about bringing out, and we don't need to be poisoning the planet in 2001, the late 90s, early 2000s, where we're talking about, we don't need to poison the planet with chemtrails, all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. I think it's HR 7730. Gosh darn it, I apologize for that, but there is a actual bill that was passed for that. Normally I have it on the top of my head, but I can't think of it right now.
Strategic Defense Initiative.
Yeah, and basically what it was, it said, hey, we've got all these, look at the, you know, we're talking about Congress, 101st Congress, talking about, we want to ban alien weapons. We want to ban these things. I mean, and I'm sorry to say, I don't think that Congress is going to waste your time talking about chain guns and everything else. They're all on that list if you read it, and you're going to go, wow, well, why would they be trying to get away with that? And they mention extraterrestrial weaponry, and they mention chemtrails. Everybody's like, well, we didn't have chemtrails. Well, why are they mentioning them? You know, good gosh. I mean, we're a nation of sleepers, and there's only a few people awake. I hate to say that, but you know, if you do the research, you go back and you look at it, you're going to say, "Wow, Space Force, man, we've been there for a long time. We're flying out in the nether regions all the time."
So, you've been on the MyLab trail for a while too. What's the very first MyLab that you can remember?
Oh,
was that in the 90s as well?
No, my labs were earlier than that. You know, I think right after my lab started coming in the 70s. You got to remember that I had an abduction back in '64, and I was abducted for several times after that, ongoing, and you know, you take it through that. I would say my lab started, it was catching on in maybe, you were hearing more about it 85, 86, and then you heard a few of them, and then in the 90s, late 90s, they were really hopping with my labs. And now all of a sudden that's all you ever, you know, you hear it a lot. But, you know, the government has been involved with these things since the treaties that they originally had back with
back in the 40s with Eisenhower.
Truman and Eisenhower. Truman and Eisenhower. You know, and so
it makes you wonder if what was the name of that treaty?
Starts with G, Geneva, something like that, similar to the Geneva. As we talk about it, but that's what I've always called it. Yeah.
The Grenada, not Grenada.
Yeah, Grenada. Grenada was a place. Yeah, but it's
right. It sounds kind of like that. But yeah, the treaty that Truman did, it makes me wonder. So according to the treaty, so many people were allowed to be abducted, and if you read between the lines, it makes you wonder if that was in reference to my labs, not the general population abductions. Because how are they going to? There's no way they can control that. There really isn't.
No.
But it makes you wonder if that reference to abductions was specifically my lab abductions, not the general population.
I always look at it as, you know, today, if you were really want to, and this is far-fetched, and, you know, some of my thoughts that I think about, and I've had it with other abductees and everything else. Let me show you where I'm at today. I truly believe that, you know, the government has been fooling with these things for a while. But I also believe there are other entities and other beings that are coming here that are for a different purpose. Mm-hmm. And I believe that they originally came here and said, hey, look, we'll give you all the good, we'll give you benefits and health, and we want to raise your awareness and free energy and all this. And I believe that they were like going, nope, we don't want that. Give us war. Give us the stuff that we can kill people with.
Right.
So I believe that there is a very... You mentioned earlier how people believe that, oh, golly, it was such a great experience. I'm a contactee. I've never had a bad experience, one.
Yeah.
And then you have the other side that are on the abductee side point, which is basically a rape case. Somebody comes in your house, drags you out, sticks needles in you and takes you away, and then brings you back, and you go, wow, I just think that was the most heavenly thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
You don't get that.
No.
But at the same time, you are looking at possibly there is two different types of you mentioned the war thing. Mm-hmm. Suppose there's a good race coming and there's a bad race here, okay? And the good come in because have you ever heard or seen anything about some of these abductees or some of the people saying that, look, we see another thing attacking a ship that's coming in. For some reason, something shooting off the ground or shooting at it or being followed, traced after.
You actually see that in one of the NASA videos.
Exactly.
One of the NASA videos shows that, and they try to play that off that, that was just ice chips leaving the booster rocket. No, it wasn't. That wasn't. That was an obvious propulsion system. That was no. I've seen that video.
And some of them actually, and some of the sightings that you've seen, or some of the videos you've seen, actually go around it, or will reverse its field and go the other direction when it happens.
Exactly.
So that was Star Wars. I think that's what they called. Jump back to Reagan real quick.
Right.
That was the Star Wars program. It was almost like, hey, is Star Wars for the planet and missiles, or is it to protect us from what's coming in and out?
Well, I mean, you could even take that back further, going on to the Majestic 12 and everything. I mean,
sure.
Back. Talking Pyramid of Giza times. I mean...
exactly. I like the way you think.
The first documented that I've seen, anyway, the first documented abduction case happened in the 13th century. That happened in the 13th century...
That's not true.
No, it depends on what you're talking about as far as documented, because there are cave paintings and stuff from way back. It would be considered documentation of their day.
Right, exactly. What happened to Enoch?
Oh, yeah, okay, there you go.
It happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Right.
I mean, if you're looking at biblical or whatever you're going to use, and Enoch's mentioned in the Bible, but not very much unless you're a Gnostic, and you hear it quite a lot. The Book of Enoch is filled with nothing but aliens.
Real quick, we got to stop and give a shout out to one of our new listeners in the chat room, Danny. Hey, Danny, glad to see you here. Hope you enjoy the show tonight.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and Ezekiel's wheel. You've got Jacob's ladder.
Oh man, there are so many, so many.
Oh, there is
different books. You want to start talking about that? We can talk about that for years.
That could be a whole other show.
Right, it is. You can go farther back than that. It's like the beginning of time, and you're looking at odd things as you talk about Stonehenge, you talk about some of the other things, and
even getting away from the Bible, you can look at the Hindu.
The Ramadas.
Yeah, the floating cities.
The Mahabharata is another
one.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
Izzy's
so...
listening. Izzy should be asleep. Izzy's supposed to be asleep.
Oh, she doesn't listen to the show.
So the original Fire in the Sky. I know Travis Walton changed the story in his biography that he just did. What I think he did the new version. 3 years ago was it, Barry?
It was 3 or 4 years ago. That's what I'm trying to remember, and I probably have it in. If I was able to get up and move around, I'd probably have books sitting here somewhere. The newer version also.
Right.
I know I've got a new.
I haven't gotten to see the new movie. I've looked for it. I can't find it. But I know he came out and he said, in Fire in the Sky, they see this bright light in the woods. He gets out of the truck. He runs and they beam him up. And that's exactly how they portray it in the original movie. But what he changed it to was he ran out and apparently the aliens hit the tractor beam and accidentally killed him. And they brought him up and they fixed him, basically. Is that how you interpreted the new version?
I think that he was beamed in. Yeah, that could be it. At the same time, I think that Travis is also trying to come into a way to understand all this, just like every abductee does.
Right.
You know, heck, you got to remember, you know, this happened in November 5th, 1975. You know, coming back from work, that's what they did think. He blew him up, and you know, originally, yeah, okay, he's taken, and he wakes up, and he's in the ship by the movie. But realistically, as you look at it through all the time, you're trying to justify it. Every abductee, everyone that's ever been this way, keeps on running it through their head, mind after mind after mind. And as you're trying to deal with it, you're coming up with the ideas of going, okay, yeah. And I do believe that that's exactly what they did to him. Okay. That's my personal thing. And when I've sat down and talked to Travis about it and everything else, I think Travis is, that's a claim that he's making. But you still have to remember something, that even through abductions and even through regressions and all the other things, you know, you are still trying to piece it all together. And that's the one that makes sense to me, and I think it also makes sense to Travis also.
Right.
And I'm not trying to put words in Travis's mouth, but
no.
As it moves through. So.
See, that's my problem with hypnotherapy, and I don't know what your stance on it. I don't like hypnotherapy. I prefer conscious recall, because
it's true.
You know, well, like you said towards the beginning of the show, you know, some people can't handle those doors that are open, and that leads to suicide. Because if you didn't know you don't know how many clients I've talked to over the years that had no clue they were abductees until they started describing their experience to me. And what they thought was a haunting, no, it fit all the patterns of an abduction. And when I started, prodding more detail, I had to tell them, look, I don't like being the one to tell you this, but your patterns fit that of an alien abductee. And
Eric, excellent point, man. I love it, because you're 100% right. I mean, there are paranormal aspects that happen in UFO cases. You can go, they think they're having a haunting, they're seeing shadow people, they're seeing all this stuff, but 9 times out of 10, if you wrap it back around and you start looking at it and asking the right questions, they're going to say, yeah, I saw this craft and this thing, and all of a sudden this other stuff starts happening, and electrical problems, my TV shuts off, my light bulbs blow up, all this stuff starts adding up. And then you go, you may have a haunting here. Yeah, you might have some kind of going on, but guess what? You're fitting the abductee scenario so well, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you woken up with a snap?
Then you have the dilemma of, can they wrap their mind around this concept when they didn't come to me with an abduction, they came to me with a spirit. And
exactly.
It's not a spirit.
Well, I think they just came to you because they're not sure what it is and they're looking for answers. So I think in that sense, anybody's willing to accept anything at that point if it's explaining what's happening to them.
No.
Oh, no. I'm kind of with Eric.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's a whole different concept also, and they take it that way too.
Okay, I might just be looking at that wrong, because if I'm coming to you for help, I'm expecting you to tell me. I don't care what you tell me it is.
Okay,
if it's
but
something.
If you're so used to watching Ghost Adventures and this haunting show, I mean, when you have enough infighting within the paranormal alone that
so
aliens don't exist.
You're willing to accept the fact that maybe a loved one might have passed on, but you're not willing to accept the fact that maybe there's something else out there.
Little green men are coming down and taking you.
I can understand that.
No, that's a whole other mind blower for some people.
No, it is, and it sets them way back. And I've dealt with them. I've seen it. I've seen it a lot. And what's bad is just like Eric mentioned, when you start looking at the paranormal field, or you look at the ufology itself, ufology doesn't even want to recognize itself as something paranormal. No. There's a whole bunch of people going, oh no, there is no such thing as high strangeness in the ufology world. Well, let me tell you something. High strangeness is in everything we do out here, And if you're in ufology and you're not looking at the other ends of it, then you're missing a large picture of it, Come on, people. I mean, it's there, but having people deal with it, totally different thing. And then you're going to move right into. I can see your segue here because what is the problem with that? The movie, The Fourth Kind.
Oh my God, yeah, and then we're going to be hitting The Fourth Kind in the second hour.
Yeah, because it's the same thing. People can't deal with it, and it's the same thing with doing the other things when you're going to therapy and you're going through all this stuff. What does it bring out? Where does it shock you? Where does it leave you? And it leaves you in a place of going, oh my gosh, you can't deal with it.
So,
when you're talking about mental illness and stuff, they have the book, to go by, and it's still loosely fitting, but it will, you can kind of lump somebody bipolar, schizophrenia, or whatever into that book. Now, when you're talking about aliens, abductions, and all these different things, the methods of questioning them, the way they might read something to them, the way they ask a question, all of those things make the whole thing completely subject to interpretation. So, like when you guys talk about stories and cases that you've heard about or read about or whatever, how are you able to actually form your idea of what happened if you weren't there, seeing how they were interviewed, or you see what I'm going with that? It's so open.
That comes with experience, for one. Okay, so and I've said this on the show. I said it last week. Anyone that's been in this field, in the paranormal field in general, for under 5 years, is a newbie.
Oh, true. I agree with that.
And I piss people off when I say that, but it's fact. If you have not been researching in this field, I'm not talking about weekend warriors. Weekend warriors, if you're only a weekend warrior, then I'll give you 10 years. But if you're in this field under 5 years, you're a newbie. I've been in this field for 30, and I know Barry's been in it for as long as I have. If not,
I've been in it for 40. It's over 40 years now.
But I will say, with that, even as newbies, they are still valuable.
They are. That's not my point. I'm answering Jamie's question. So my point with that,
I am not an expert in your field, but I was an expert in my back field, and so I know what was out there and what I saw and stuff. But yet, I would not be able to explain how any of it would make any sense, except Eric's been listening to me all this time. But I'm not an expert on this in any way, shape, or form. And my family thinks I'm completely off my rocker, even talking about these things.
You can say bad shit crazy.
How y'all are getting myself. Huh?
You can say bad shit crazy. We cuss on the show now.
I'm not allowed to say that shit now.
But no, so the reason I explain it that way, Jamie, is because when you've been in this field for a while, you already have patterns that you watch for. So when you're asking the questions of someone that, when you're approaching a case, for example, and you think it's a haunting, you don't know what it is. You have to get to the root of the problem. You don't just come at it like it's Uncle Bob and he's haunting the house. You come at it like, okay, this is what's going on. What could be causing it? Now, when it fits the pattern that we know over the last 30 years, for example, that have been going on with abductees, and it fits those patterns, you don't ever ask yes or no questions. That leaves it too open. And it's leading. You don't want to lead your clients.
And I'm totally trusting you and your team how they do things. But what I was meaning, though, is just from any of these other, that you didn't start with, from the ground up. When you were talking to them, you don't know exactly what was put into their mind by maybe somebody who questioned them before you. And where I was getting at was, is there like a central database that y'all have that you can put this information into that everybody can kind of like agree upon or whatever? Or is it like a billion different little libraries and Rolodexes out there?
No, there's not. Now, there's MUFON, but, Barry can attest, MUFON does not share their information.
Yeah, I will give you that. And I also will say that even though there is MUFON and there's people that go through training and everything else, what you do with your training and where you go through it afterwards, you will see, if dealing with abductees, you will see certain patterns that will be there, and they are continuum. When you see it, it fits that mold. You just automatically know. And I mean, I understand where Eric's coming from. The more you deal with it, you just start saying, okay, I'm telling you, I'm interviewing you, and all of a sudden, the questions that I'm asking are leading you into. We don't want to lead a witness. We're trying to find out some information. And guess what? There are definite certain things that happen to every one of the abductees out there, and you will know, and I can guarantee it. Eric and I can sit in a case and go, "Yep." Just by hearing someone talk about it, doing what they're saying, we'll turn to each other and look at each other and go, "Abductee."
And
just
with
that easy.
We'll get right back to this, but we have to take a break, and when we come back, we will carry you right where we left off, right here.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, cause I'm rotted here tonight. Just burn me like a witch, and watch as I catch fire. But I cannot die, I am your poltergeist. Trying to kill me, but I cannot die. You try to ignore me, but I haunt you deep inside. You keep trying to kill me, but I cannot die. You try to ignore me, but I haunt you deep inside. They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, cause I brought it here tonight. Just burn me like a witch, and watch as I catch fire. But I cannot die. I am your poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist. I'll eat your dreams while you immerse in all of your hate. Just waste away like you're destined by your fate. I'll be alive but I'm dead to watch you die. So go ahead and take my life, I dare you to try it. You keep trying to kill me, but I cannot die. You try to ignore me, but I haunt you deep inside. You keep trying to kill me, but I cannot die. You try to ignore me, but I haunt you deep inside. They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, cause I brought it here tonight. Just burn me like a witch, and watch as I catch fire. But I cannot die, I am your poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist. Oh, poltergeist, poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist. Oh, you're caving in, the loss of sleep keeps you obsessing on your pride. But in the end, you let me in. They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check check out my ego, 'cause I'm wanted here tonight. Just burn me like a witch and watch as I catch fire. But I cannot die. I am your motherfucker. They say I'm evil. They say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, 'cause I brought it here tonight. Just burn me like a witch and watch as I catch fire. But I cannot die. I am your poltergeist. 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 Oh, poltergeist. 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 Poltergeist.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Welcome back to S4. Go check out our store at our website, www.s-4radio.com. Hit the store. You can drink your coffee out of a mug during the show like we all do. Anyway, we got to give a shout out to my little boy, Anthony. He turns 8, as of 5 minutes ago. So we're all going to sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Anthony. Happy birthday to you. There we go.
We are definitely not getting
Oh,
any
you guys
records.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
And we're going to have fun at Chuck E.
There's not
Cheese
going to be
today.
an album made of that, let me tell you.
It's okay.
No.
He's listening, and I know he loved it. Okay,
This month
so...
is
He's
weird for
denying
birthdays. Like,
knowing
we've got
you.
a lot in this time frame.
Huh?
We've got a lot of birthdays in this time frame.
Oh, we do.
Oh,
Yeah, huh?
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Unbelievable.
It is. It is. So, jumping back to Jamie's question, one of the big patterns I look at, too, is the streetlight phenomena.
Great.
So, with abductees, one of the big indicators with a lot of abductees is when they start talking about, it's weird, but when I'm walking at night, the streetlights will go out one by one as I walk by them. I know you've heard that, Barry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's, in my opinion, that's caused by the implant. I think that's an implant anomaly, an implant that's interfering with electronics. Now, the hard...
We can also look at that, though. That can also be an energy that you're expelling wrong as well. Anything with
EMF.
electrical impulse.
EMF.
ULF, anything would be able to affect that. It's the same thing
Right.
with the light bulbs. We were talking about light bulbs blowing out. How many abductees do you get to? And they always talk about, in my house, I replace 15 light bulbs.
Or computers.
Yeah, computers, all that stuff. Electronic things, batteries, everything just drain
They
out.
drain them.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that's either from, and this is, again, this is a stretch. It's probably far-fetched, but couldn't it be from the gravity feed off them from being in space? Could it be the radiation trace that could be on them from being abducted? Or it could be from the implants.
Or it could be from their own electrical impulses. To be
That could be
honest.
too.
If you're manipulating DNA, if you're manipulating any of these things, it's going to manipulate your synapses and your electrical impulse of your body as well.
Holy crap.
What?
Uncle Fester from the Addams Family is an abductee.
It probably is. Now here's the monkey I'll throw in the wrench. A lot of the abductees also fit a pattern of child abuse, of drug abuse. You think of the occult abuse that happened in the 70s and 80s. That kind of trauma is very similar to an abduction trauma.
PSD.
Huh? Well, oh yeah, hands down they have PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
But what I look at is when you have the physical marks, when you have the nosebleeds, and like I'll tell any abductee, anytime we handle those cases, is you have to look at the medical side. If they're complaining about bruising, if they're complaining about the nosebleeds, do they have high blood pressure? Do they have anemia? Are they a bleeder? You always look at the psychiatric as well as the medical side before you jump on the fact that they might be an abductee.
Yeah, Danny, you say you short out watches. That has been linked to the amount of heavy metals you have in your body, actually.
That, too.
I know quite a few mechanics that can't wear a watch because they do that because of the amount of metals they have in their body.
Get some blood tests done.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things that are doing it. But you know what I always think about when you're looking at the abductee scenario and you're sitting back going, most of the people that are like myself to this day, I would prefer somebody to be able to tell me that you're sick, you have a blood problem, you have all this stuff, because that means there's a little pill that I could take to be fixed.
Yeah.
I think most of everybody would like to say, tell me I'm crazy, put me in a little room, and if you can tell me that. But every time that they do it, they start going, oh, you're as sane as can be. There's nothing wrong with you. That's not what I wanted to hear. I'm sorry. That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear that I'm really, excuse me, screwed up.
Oh, no, you're fine.
No, you're good.
We're an explicit show.
Yep.
He
wants to hear that he's fucked up, guys.
That was our 2020 change. Here's the difference between paranormal cases, Barry, is, and that's why I always jumped on the abduction side, because Joe's coming on saying, I've got a spirit, and I'm having spirit activity. The normal paranormal team can run in there and clear the spirit out. Problem solved.
Right.
Everything's done.
Yep.
What do you tell the abductee? I can't stop the abduction.
Yeah, exactly. You can't.
That doesn't... Sorry. Best I can do, and the best healing to be started with an abductee is the fact that you believe them.
Right.
You're hearing their story. Mm-hmm. You're sharing their story if they want it shared. But know that you're not alone. That's the first step to healing for any abductee. And then,
exactly.
when we had an abduction case, I always tell them, start a dream journal. Keep a notebook by your bed. And that's how you start the road down conscious recall.
Right.
When you're dreaming about it, you want to write the date, the time, the weather. I always tell them to write the weather as well, because weather does influence dreams.
It does.
Figures
You're
and
right.
animals. Figures and animals.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And Eric, you guys helped on a case that was here in Kentucky that I asked you to, and to look into it. And that guy does dream journals for me, does his journaling. I've got several journals from the time. But
I'm very sorry we couldn't help you more than we tried to. That was just,
hey man, I'll tell you one thing. People look at stuff and I understand. And the thing about it is that stuff happens, and it's the real stuff. When you start dealing with it, we better put the brakes on, because we're all going to be in major problems.
Well, that's the difference. So when you're dealing with the normal abductee, you don't have the government aspect to it. When you start bringing in the human aspect to it that's involved with it, that's where the danger to the team comes in.
Exactly.
That's where the brakes have to be put.
You're exactly right. Yeah.
So coming back to the movie Fire in the Sky, as Eric said, I watched it for the first time last week. I did have a few issues, because obviously I was watching it to study for this show, because I had found it on the internet
somewhere.
And, I was able to watch it, and I started reading up on the differences between the show and his actual experience. My biggest issue with it is one of the scriptwriters reported that the executives of the production company found Walton's account boring and insisted on changes of the script, of the actual abduction scenes which bear no resemblance to Walton's claims. He reported that he flew the ship at the end of the encounter, which was not portrayed in the film. In the film, there was 5 employees other than him. There was actually 6.
True.
Like, why change this stuff?
They made changes that really didn't make any sense.
They said it resembled too much to other alien movies that had already come out. But this is a true account. This is based off a book of someone's actual experience. Mm-hmm. Why would you change that? The problem with that is it actually, if I was Travis Walton, I can't believe, honestly, that he let that movie happen.
Unfortunately, it's just like today. You know, I think it's the same with producers have too much control over you right now. And they're the ones that, you know, you have a toss-up. Do I get my story out? How do I get my story out? And how do I get it done? And unfortunately, they say, oh, yeah, we want your story. And then they sit there and say, we're not giving you any rights to your story, so we're going to change stuff around to make it a little bit more spicier than what we think that people would like. Or they take you totally around what it was. And, you know, it's just like ghost shows, just like anything else.
Right.
We are all seeing the wrong stuff. And you got to remember, this was done in '93, you know?
Yeah.
And the movies that were coming out about aliens were like Starman. You remember that movie a long time ago?
I remember Starman.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, whoa, you know, but, you know, all that kind of stuff. It was a totally different thing. I mean, that's a long time ago. But it just goes to show you how much control they have over how we think, how we thought, how we do it. I mean, it's social conditioning all the time, and it's been that way for all of our lives, you know.
Well, you know, watching Starman, it made me paranoid to go into the arcade and playing video games.
Yeah.
Who's watching? Who's really watching me play a video game?
Right.
And are they going to come after me now? I mean, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't win. I can't win because I don't know, the powers that be might come after me.
Now I'm a champion. I'm going to have to fly for real. I'm going to die.
But that was an awesome movie. That was one of those movies you could sit back and actually enjoy because, you know, well, I don't know. Is there any truth to it? I don't know. I haven't looked into that one.
Yeah.
Are we done with Fire in the Sky?
I think so. We got quite a few other ones to hit on. Like, here's the thing: alien abduction, the movies has always been quite a big thing. Uh-huh. But honestly, we didn't actually think of how many movies actually feature it without touching on it.
Hey, like that's Richard. Richard's in the chat room. Hey, how you doing, Rich? Oh, right on. Goof on Radio. Richard Giordano. All righty.
So,
there he is.
With
oh, well.
One of the biggest ones for me was actually a Marvel movie that recently came out. Guardians of the Galaxy features alien abduction.
I didn't, you know, and you brought that up earlier. I don't remember seeing. What I liked about Guardians.
You don't see it.
Yeah, but what I liked about it was they showed the council. To me, that council was actually pretty accurate. What do you think,
12.
Barry? The Council of 12 was actually portrayed, which is what Keith calls the consortium today. But we did a show. We did a show on the Council of 12. Oh God, 2 years ago. The first year we actually did S4, we actually talked about the Council of 12, and it used to be called the Council of 9. Before that, and then they added 3 more races, and it became the Council of 12.
Well, that's right.
But that was, you know, I remember seeing that the first time I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's a pretty damn accurate portrayal of what would be known as the Council of 12. But I don't remember anything about Abduction on that one.
So Peter Quill,
Right.
who was played by Chris Pratt, a local Pacific Northwesterner, by the way.
Okay.
He, also known as Star-Lord, in 1988, he was abducted from his hometown. I think it was in Indiana or Illinois, one of the two. But from behind a 7-Eleven.
Man, you're gonna make me go back and look at that again.
So that part is actually featured in number 2 when he meets his dad.
Okay.
But it's not really, like, you don't actually see him being taken. You just see the 7-Eleven, him standing there, and all of a sudden he's gone, and it features him and his mom and his dad meeting. Because his dad's that godlike creature.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that movie again. Do you remember that, Barry?
I don't, but it reminds me again of, like, I don't want to play arcade games.
What about you, Don and Jamie? Have you guys seen Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to go back and look at it. I love the movie.
I know. I'm going to have to go watch it again.
Well, he had to have been abducted at some point. He was the only Earthling, and they pulled him up and like, hey.
Yeah, he was the chosen one from the human race.
Yeah, and he's abducted by the Ravagers, and which is their leader is the Yondo.
Okay.
Oh, right. That blue guy with the whistle thing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, gotcha.
I thought it was cool they brought them into the Avengers, though.
And he, in the end, you find out he was actually supposed to be abducted to be brought to his father.
Yeah.
But Yondo decides not to bring him to him because he knows what he's going to do to him.
Right.
Which, that dad's an asshole.
Oh, geez. No, he's a planet or something, right?
Oh, I want to bring something up. What's your thoughts on contactees having Stockholm syndrome?
Oh. Okay.
Have you ever thought about that, Barry?
Yeah. In fact, we kick it. Some of the syndromes that we kick around here, and as I said with Eric Mitchell, I've been with Eric now. He's an abductee that we worked with for now almost 7 years now, and Stockholm and everything else all come into play. You know, you kick around all kinds of stuff. You know, we do think of different things, savants syndromes, all of that. You know, it all becomes a part of your thought process as we deal with this through the years that we have. You know, wouldn't you agree, Eric?
Yeah, but you know, everyone processes
at a different rate,
differently.
Yeah.
So if you're being abducted and your mind's manipulated, which they all are anyway,
those are conditioning again.
But the more you get abducted, the aliens portray to themselves as these wonderful space beings, and you become so comfortable with them that you become their friend, and in and of itself creates a contactee, not an abductee.
Golly, bring on the tomato soup and the cheese sandwiches, man. I'm
I mean, I'm not saying there's not friendly races out there. I know there are. I don't think there's as many as we think there are, though. I really don't. You know, I firmly believe the Pleiadians are a positive race. I believe the Arcturians are a positive race.
The other ones are playing with their food.
Oh, no, that's Teklex. Teklex are eating people.
Right, exactly. You know, you've got what I call the old sleeve stacks from.
Yeah, well, and then you've got the triple. So along with the Greys, you've got a lot of reptilians you're seeing with them, And a lot of the mantids are seen with them.
Mantids.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those
Yeah,
freaky little
Mantis.
Yeah, those ain't fun. They do bleed though. They bleed, they die.
Yes.
We've proven that. So anyway, moving along.
I'm going to catch that ball in left field there.
Fourth Kind. I liked Fourth Kind because it showed, so you have the Fire in the Sky showed the abduction experience, whereas the Fourth Kind showed the hypnotherapist experience.
Showed the after effects.
The after effects, yes. And you've got skeptics that sit there and say, oh, no. Fourth Kind was actually kind of like Blair Witch Project. It was, it wasn't a real story. But you know what? I've known enough hypnotherapists out there that it was a very factually based movie.
The one thing that I really liked about The Fourth Kind, which a lot of movies about abduction, about contactees, about any of that, doesn't really hit on, is the animal aspect.
Oh, the owls.
Okay, so this person in this movie continuously saw owls.
Mm-hmm.
Owls, they were deer, there were owls, there were deer. And trying to wrap your head around that, okay? And realizing what that actually is by the time the movie was over and everything else. But I like that because that's not portrayed in a lot of movies.
It's not portrayed in any other movies. It really isn't. And that's very much an abduction experience. So for any new listeners that don't understand the abduction experience, the reason the owls and the deer are very key and very factual in that movie specifically is they do what's called oh God, help me out here, Barry. Screen.
Great. Hey, you know what?
Big eyes.
What's the
Hey,
term?
it's almost 2:30 in the morning. I can't help you out too much.
Okay. basically, they can change your appearance.
Struggle for it.
And they usually change your appearance to a comfortable creature, which
Like
for a
a
lot of
glimmer.
kids especially, it's owls and it's deer. Because of the fact they can't hide their eyes. They have
They're
large
like-
eyes and they can't hide. It's the eyes they can't hide.
Yeah.
So
Would
kids...
you accept a glimmer, like a glimmer? You know what I'm talking about?
A sheen, a glimmer,
whatever.
something to, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the glimmer before. So a different kind of glimmer. What I've seen is it was almost like there's a reflection, but it was little tiny balls of light dancing around my ceiling.
Right.
I've seen that before.
Let's just call it a disguise. We'll go with that one.
Right.
Okay, and I've said this before, and I honestly really do think that this is part of it, like weirdly enough, is that I think those big-eyed beanie babies are part of that whole thing. Like, they're trying to get people to be like, oh, okay, big-eyed owls, big-eyed creatures.
What do you think? Beanie Babies? What's your thoughts? Go on, spit it
Okay,
out.
well, I'm actually still looking into something right now. So
Okay, well, shut up and you keep looking.
okay, but no. Here's the thing. So, do you realize that Fourth Kind actually received mainly negative reviews,
All over the place.
and they were sued?
Sued by what and who? And
Families
why?
of Nome, Alaska, that they actually used real names of the residents who went missing and disappeared.
Oh,
Yep.
Well, that's not nice.
that ain't good. That ain't good, but
So the film starts out with Mila
Jovovich.
Yeah, whatever the fuck her name is. It starts out with her coming onto the screen and saying this is a real side-by-side encounter of what actually happened. She's claiming it is real.
Yes.
right.
They couldn't have got any better person. to
None
play
of
that
the
part. She looked
families
like
that
an alien.
They didn't approve it.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's yeah. And that shows the validity of the movie. They should have got permission. They probably wouldn't have gotten permission if they would have asked. More likely. because of the sensitivity and the nature of that movie. You know,
do you know that I always and I'll take the devil advocate in this one just because it's the way I've looked at it. There has been a case that was similar to this all the way through to it. Again, you get one person or two people are trying to tell a story. Maybe it's like Blair Witch, whatever you want to try to make it out to be. But at the same time, what happens is if you get a group of people together that will follow, I mean, and we all see it every day, and you say, hey, that's bullshit. This is this. This is this. You can take the best photo evidence. You can take the best anything that you have. Say it's it's great. And in 2 seconds on today's thing, people will jump on it and go, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake.
Oh, hands down.
This was all a lie. And half of the stuff that they were showing that was a lie itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the key thing about that movie was that I agree with some of you who said, look, it showed the true thing of a regression, how it happened, the whole ball of wax. And look, when you start, and they put pieces in this thing that we deal with, and I don't think it was from this movie. You know, I'm kind of the guy that looks at it and says, movies in Hollywood, someone is, you know, not all these people are just writing the real stuff that comes together that out of our heads, you know. I think you can look at it as like a slow disclosure in a way, where they let off certain things, and you go, oh, that's pretty amazing. It leads you down a path or whatever. But they are trying to inform you of things that are happening. But, man, let me tell you something. That was a key movie to abductees, I believe. You know, and it would fit very well. And when you bring the Sumerians into it and you start talking about the different languages and going back into the past and into all this stuff, it makes it what we see today and everybody's theory. Look at how people's theories have changed. You know, we talk about, you know, sorry, I'm on a rant. I'll be off in 2 seconds. You know, you talked about a little bit earlier, people that have 5 years experience, 2-year experience, or whatever in the paranormal UFOs. First thing that they do is they go out and they do a few cases, and a handful of them, and then they come up with their own theories, and they go, oh, I got this great theory. But guess what? Everybody else has had that theory, but they think it's their own. They put a little twist to it, and then all of a sudden, they go out one more time, and their theory is totally blown out, so they got to revise another one, just like we all have. You know, that's what happens. But it's kind of funny.
I see that all the time. Oh, did you know about this story? I heard about that story about 15 years ago.
Right.
Have you ever heard this theory? I have this theory. I've heard that about 5 years ago.
I have lots of theories. I just know half of them. Well, no, 90% of them. Let's go there. 90% of them are bullshit. Friggin'
right.
Just I have a really messed up mind.
And PBR
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club.
PBR is bringing up communion. Let's talk about communion for a second. I get Whitley Strieber's emails.
No.
Hey, you know what? If you're gonna bring up communion, I got a movie other than Communion.
Right.
Okay. Anybody ever see the movie Knowing?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Wait a minute.
Is that not an
you mean the one
movie?
with Nicolas Cage?
Nicolas Cage, exactly.
Yep. Knowing. That was a good movie. I like that movie.
Yeah. And how's that end?
Is that place on an island?
Yeah.
No,
No, yeah. You know, you see a little girl writing numbers all over the place. Okay.
To put in a time capsule.
It was put in a time capsule. It comes through. But that is an alien movie in my book, right?
Oh yeah.
But the weird stuff about The Knowing was when you watch The Knowing, it was done before the golf stuff was going on. And what are you seeing there? You're seeing
another one I gotta watch.
The far golf and all the stuff that's happening in the golf. All right, I mean it's crazy, and it was before it ever happened. You know,
pretty good.
So they're telling you the future, and then airplane crash in Lexington. Okay. Lexington, well, they were talking about the Lexington in the Northeast, but what happens in Lexington, Kentucky? Airplane crash. All right.
Do they even have an airport there? Isn't that in Cincinnati?
yeah, they do have a.
Your guys' GPS sucks, man.
I actually drive by it. You can't miss it. So going on the way to get to some other highway. But, and then you take this other thing where they start communicating to the kid, they start showing up, and the killer ending of it. I mean, it is just...
The rocks show up everywhere. Remember the black rocks?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have to watch that one. I don't think I've seen that one. That one doesn't ring a bell.
If you haven't seen The Knowing, I'm suggesting it to everyone. I love that movie.
It came out in that time where Nick Cage was willing to be in anything.
Yeah,
right,
most
exactly.
of his were
Kind of like
Next.
and all that other stuff. Yeah.
Well, and that's what's interesting. It makes you wonder Nicolas Cage's experiences, because was that around the same time as... No, he wasn't in Signs, was he? That was Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson.
No, that was Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson.
And that's another one that's insanely eerie.
Well, but he made... Okay, so if Mel Gibson's an abductee... They took him once, and they left him here because he's freaking nuts.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, there's another case for the abductee. Some of them are multiples, and some of them only get it one time.
Well, and that reminds me of the case of the university student that got taken. So for some odd reason, he got physical control of his body, and he punched a gray in the mouth, in the face, whatever. They don't have mouths, but he punched a gray, and they said, "Oh, fuck this," and they threw him back out, butt-ass naked in the university lawn. And then you got the other unusual cases, the cases they call high strangeness, where they'll take a whole car of people, and then they'll return them on the wrong side of the freeway, go, oh shit, we just put them back on the wrong side of the freeway, re-abduct them, and right the wrong. I love Linda Moulton Howe's books on high strangeness.
Did you say high strangeness?
Yes, Illusion of Reality, Volume 1 and 2. I recommend everybody run out and get. They're a little bit spendy, but they are well worth they're good books.
Yeah.
I like the pretty pictures too. But anyway.
Oh man.
So getting back to Fourth Kind though, what I find interesting with Fourth Kind, and it brings a lot more validity based on they were sued. So when you look at the movie and you see the black and white images of the videos and of the of the recordings and whatnot, those had to have been real.
I wouldn't say they had to have been.
If they got sued, and they got sued for using...
They got sued for using improper names.
Here's the thing, Eric. This production company went far enough that they actually created a web page to validate the doctor.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, you got to think of how crazy certain people are and how far they're willing to go to get people to believe in their craziness.
It still makes you wonder.
But you know what,
though? Huh?
There could be a doctor that the reason why they wanted to validate it, and this blind devil advocate, is because there could have been a doctor like that had that experience, and they wanted to actually validate their character as much as the other doctor, because that was not talked about case.
Right.
There are cases out there, and I will challenge anybody that will say differently, that there are cases that have been reported to places, and I don't need to move on to other places in the world that we will never see or never hear about. I guarantee you that.
Oh, hands down. I mean, face it, Barry, there's abductees that don't even know they're abductees yet, still, today.
Oh, exactly. Oh, 100% right. They don't even bridge that idea.
Nope. Because and most of these people are the people that don't believe in aliens, but they believe they're having a spirit activity.
Right.
You encounter them.
And why is that? Just think about that. How is that? And I've mentioned this a few times. Social conditioning. I'm sorry, but and, right now, paranormal. Oh, great, love it. Everybody's getting tired of it. What do you start seeing? UFO shows. Ooh.
Or Bigfoot. You don't see any good Bigfoot, shows anymore.
No. You don't see any more Hilliards either.
So I got a question for the group here. Does anyone know what the first alien abduction movie ever was?
Probably the Betty and Barney Hill one.
Absolutely not.
Nope.
That was 1975.
Which one?
So it is called Killers from Space, a.k.a. The Man Who Saved the Earth. It was in 1954. It was an independently made American black and white science fiction film. And it was about a USAF pilot who crashed his plane and walked away. But he had a scar that was healed on his chest after the accident.
Now, I'll have to go look that one up too, huh?
Yeah, like...
That sounds pretty good, though. I like that.
Yeah, it sounds like a good movie. And though I enjoy those old 50s movies.
Well, black and white ones, yeah. And that actually reminds me of, it was actually a Blue Book file of the Air Force pilot that crashed his plane chasing a UFO. And, the skeptics out there will say, he lost oxygen because he was chasing a planet that they didn't know it was a planet. They thought it was a UFO. And he lost oxygen and he crashed his plane. And that happens too. That happened especially back then.
It was a firefly.
Hey, you're talking to a guy who lives in the same city that happened in. And I have researched that case a lot. That's the Mandel case. And
the Mandel.
Right after the Roswell case. This came in January 7th, 1949. And I've actually been on the property. There's a little sign down here that contributes to it and says, this is the home where the first alien encounter that took a human life is at. They've got a nice little plaque out there and everything else, but I've actually been to the property, and there's still, as of 2 years ago, there were still 2 witnesses that were still alive from that.
Which case was that?
That is the Mantell case. That is the Mantell case. I live 3 doors down from the funeral home that actually first got his body at. So
what did you find? What did you find out about that case?
That case, and if you, from what?
Nothing.
Oh, I've got to tell you something. That case is so bizarre and so laden with errors and cover up that it just bites the big one. It is amazing what they have done. A different time. Government documents and everything else at different times that he died, different times that it was watched, different conditions of his body. Even his sister report going, look, I want to know what happened to him, and they still have never told me. And the government has done it to this day. We know that there are a lot of incidents that happens, and they blame it on something else, and the families never know it. But Same thing with this case. I mean, and
like a weather balloon.
Yeah, like a weather balloon, or like Mars,
swamp gas,
or like some of the all the things. I mean, this guy was supposedly chasing Mars, you know, and 4 people coming out of there bringing planes out of North Carolina. They make him out to be like a no pilot. He was a very highly decorated pilot. Was actually a trainer and had been an ace, and does the stupid move that he goes over 25,000 feet going without air, without this stuff. He blacks out and he goes. I don't believe that's true. No. Also, the way that the plane crashed was quite interesting. And some of the witnesses were saying that you could see it spiraling, and all of a sudden, it, just like there was a white cloud. And in that white cloud, it slowed down. And when that plane hit the ground, it hit it. It hit on its belly, didn't slide, didn't do anything. The prop went right straight into the ground.
It would have disintegrated if it would have gone spiraling, free falling.
Right. Did not. And all of a sudden, the prop, when you look at the pictures of it from where it's laying, the prop is stuck. All the prop is stuck in the ground, and there's one sticking straight up from the middle of it. The plane is on its on its left-hand side, due to the fact that when it landed, pressure broke one of the wings off, and it twisted the cabin to it, and it laid towards that side of the where the wing was broke. But how does a plane crash belly and just flops like that?
It don't, under normal circumstances, it wouldn't.
No, yeah. But I don't want to take away from the movie side of it. But I heard you talking about Mantell, and I was like going, "Oh, gotta share that because it's an awesome case."
Most definitely. And we're going to get to Blue Book here in a minute, but Danny's bringing up They Live.
Yeah, the creepy faced aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we were talking about directors earlier in the show, and there are 4 directors that we have a good suspicion have the in with the government, and they're allowed to release certain information. Chris Carter being 1, Steven Spielberg being 2, and I can't remember the other 2.
Well, I honestly think Gene Roddenberry.
Okay.
Well, look at
the
new Space Force logo.
Yeah, but he took.
Interesting. That was a great comment. That was.
He took an artistic view towards it.
Yeah.
Very much so, but I think a lot of the stuff that he features, different nebulas and stuff that he featured in the original series, they weren't talked about as widely as he did.
Right. And
then George Lucas, of course.
There you go.
And then there's one from Europe.
There's one from Europe that's supposed to be in the know. So when you look at movies like They Live, and V's been brought up before, some of those alien races.
When Mars attacks. Okay, come on.
Some of those races do get based on maybe a hair fact. You look at the KGB files, you look at some of the other alien races books that are out there. You look at the description of them. They were talked about long before some of these movies came out.
Like at Tommy Knockers. I mean, there's so many.
Oh, I love
Tommy Knockers.
Oh, yeah. Tommy Knockers is great.
You gotta
That's
love
another
that.
one. Oh, so
I like Dark Skies. Anybody like Dark Skies?
Dark Skies was good.
you know
I
I've
would
seen, I've seen that one before a long time ago, but I don't remember it. I want to talk about Hellier though.
No.
Oh,
That's the one that I've never heard talked about among
yeah.
ufologists.
What?
There's one that we saw a while ago that I haven't heard talked about very much.
Which one?
The Signal.
The Signal.
Ooh.
Yeah.
3 MIT students go to a remote area and they find this town that it's
This is
pretty
the
much they
one
find
that was
friggin' what is it? Area 51. It's
Okay.
like they found Area 51. And they end up in a weird area. Like, it is just a weird movie. And it
is a bizarre
really, it
movie.
messes with your mind watching it.
Kind of like the movie Parallel. It just
Which one?
Parallel. The Universal movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen The Signal either. Damn it, I'm way behind.
What
Blame
is
it on
it?
school.
What is that one that just came out not too long ago with the oh man.
Which one?
And I think, is that what you were just talking about with the kid with the 1001? Oh crap! I'm done.
That was annoying. Yeah. Well.
So apparently Kayla's writing her own movie.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to see
what was the one
movie.
that came out? This was that had those beings that were. They would transport them up. They'd all wear suits and everything else. They go up, and these beings would like right behind a screen. What the heck was that movie?
Oh, that was The Arrival, or not The Arrival.
Arrival.
There was two. of them.
Arrival. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that
And then
one.
the old movie, The Arrival, that was really cool with Sheen in it.
Charlie Sheen. Yes.
Are those the backwards
Yeah,
knee
that-
aliens?
Yep, that was the
Nice.
backwards knee
Yeah,
one.
that was backwards knee.
What about
Yeah.
Cocoon?
Meh. No,
Oh, that's
Okay, but none of these are abduction ones.
I liked Arrival better though. Better than The Arrival, because Arrival really showed what the humans would do. You
Yes.
know, these guys ain't a threat, but human nature, what it is, we got to shoot first, ask questions later.
You know, I honestly don't think that that's entirely
I think
true.
the DreamWorks movie, Alien versus Monsters, or Monsters versus Aliens,
Okay,
that one shows
okay.
what like the president would do.
Yeah, yeah.
Climb a set of stairs,
Today,
play a solo on the piano.
Right.
I think that's where Trump would be.
oh God.
Oh my god.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's move away from the Trump talk
Yeah,
for the night,
let's
please.
not talk. We
Let's
talked
not
about
go
Trump
there.
enough last
Let's not
week.
go
Let's
there.
not talk about Trump tonight.
Space Force.
Oh God.
He honestly is so involved with the alien thing right now because of Space Force, though, that like you kind of can't help it.
Yeah, but why do you think?
Come on.
So why did he bring up Star Trek as the Space Force emblem?
Well,
Well,
number one,
okay.
he's not the designer. He anytime that a military thing happens, he is the one. The White House is who presents it. They are the
This
first
time it was
presenters.
Gene Roddenberry. So
But again, we're talking about Space Force, and we're talking about the United States space program or the space deals where each of the forces had those things. Have you ever seen the logos of that? Looks
Yes.
damn the same way.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was way before Trump came out.
I'm still looking.
yeah, well,
I'm still looking for the Space Force recruiting office.
go on down to your local.
Hey, that's a good one. That is a good one. That is a good one.
I want to
ain't-
join Space Force.
I ain't seen that one yet.
I honestly think it is the Army recruiting office because that
Yeah,
was what was
actually.
said with the uniforms is the fact that Space Force will be working very closely with their Army counterparts. So therefore, that is
It's a
that's
new
why
branch of the
that's
Army.
why their uniforms were camo.
But you know what?
Yeah.
You say Space Force. The first thing I think of is Starship Troopers.
Honestly, the first thing I think of is ooh hoo ha.
Yeah.
Oh,
Space
That's-
Force. I just can't.
You know what? I still think, I mean,
Zoltan.
just Google it. You can see it anywhere.
Shark bait.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to the United States Space Program, Navy, Army, Air Force, they all have a space program. They all have
They do.
that logo.
Oh,
Okay,
look
they
at
all
that.
have a different logo.
Absolutely.
And then within that, I mean, so what's the difference between a space force and that? I mean, are we just talking, are they just saying, oh, well, now we're going to admit that we have a damn space force when we've already had one for the last 25 years?
Oh, we've,
You know?
Okay, ever since the first caveman got up, stood up, looked up at the stars and said, I wonder what's out there. We've had a space force. Okay.
Oh, never. You talk about caveman. Didn't we invent the wheel here in America?
No,
That's what I heard.
Oh, yeah. You
that
know,
was the Dolphins.
That was Trump. Trump said we invented the wheel. Anyway.
We invented the wheel.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I heard.
Okay, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, guys.
hey,
Oh.
we actually,
That's kind
you
of
know,
an abduction movie.
It is. That's
Which
what
one?
I'm saying. Hitchhiker's
Hitchhiker's
Guide to the Galaxy.
is an abduction movie.
Yeah.
Bring your towel.
Yeah.
Hey, it's probably the closest to true. 42. Yeah.
Anyway, when we come back, we are going to dig into Hellier. Because there's a lot of points to Hellier I do want to bring up. And I know Barry wants to bring up. Because Barry's, 3 miles away from Hellier?
Oh, no, I'm like 3 hours away.
3 hours away.
If I was 3 miles away from Hilliard, we'd have a body somewhere. It'd probably be mine laying on the ground.
Yeah.
So you did go to the neighbor's rave.
3 hours away from Hellier. And, because I want to bring up the fact that Hopkins,
I don't know. I was asleep by then.
It was
No,
Kelly,
no.
Kentucky, and Hopkinsville. Yeah.
yeah,
The same
the
area.
Hopkinsville case that they compare Hellier to? No, not even close. Anyway,
No.
enjoy another Crypt Amnesia tune. We plan on having the band here on the show soon. As soon as we can get the band together to come over here on the show. So, all right.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Just when exactly did you lose yourself? Fell prey to the wicked. Think back before you've gone and lost your mind. Before your sickness. And I'm not saying it's your fault, my friend. What it takes to let you go and resurrect your soul. To be born on you. Your chaos deep inside burns through your skin. Release your hell with that. Your inside, burn through your skin. Release your hell with that. Your eyes black as the night fell victim to your hell with that. Look at you now, look at you now. The demons living at your soul. And now the devil's in control. When will we see you once again? Only time will tell. Time is a thief and a villain. What your ship has not yet sailed. You cannot change the past. What you might learn from it. It's up to you to fight. You exercise your demon light. Your chaos deep inside burns through your skin. Release your hell with it. Your eyes black as the night fell victim to your hell with it. Look at you now, look at you now. The demons ripping at your soul. And now the devil's in control. Your chaos deep inside burns through your skin. Your eyes black as the night fell victim to your hell with it. Look at you now, look at you now. The demons ripping at your soul. And now the devil's in control.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Welcome back to S4. Go check out our store. Get your S4 gear at www.s-4radio.com. If you want to be a sponsor, we're always looking for sponsors. We have new sponsors coming up. We will be announcing them as we get them in.
Make sure you check out our Patreon page at www.patreon.com.
Outstanding. Show tonight, we got Barry Gaunt, we've got Jami Justice, and we've got Don Davidson, if he's still with us tonight. I think he fell asleep, though.
Nope, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Oh, there he is.
Oh,
there
he
he
came
is.
back.
He's still here.
He was muted.
So we're shifting gears and we're talking Hellier, because Hellier is 3 hours away from Barry, and I'm sorry, but you know that was just, to me, a very dry documentary, if you want to call it a documentary.
It was.
That's the question right there. I got a problem with that.
Well, you know, you and I have talked about this before, Barry, but
Yeah.
the description they've got of the creature, they call it alien, and it looks alien-like, but it does not portray the characteristics of how an alien acts based on abduction experiences. Not one iota. The closest it comes is the Hopkinsville case.
Yes.
And didn't the Hopkinsville case happen on the other side of the state?
It actually did. Hopkinsville, or the Kelly, Kentucky case, happened in 1955, and it is on the western part of the state. Hilliard is on the eastern part of the United States, eastern part of Kentucky, and very, like I said, it's a 3-hour drive away. I can get to Hopkinsville in 45 minutes from where I'm at. You know,
Okay.
A 4-hour drive actually, but. It's a long way away. It's in the area, what I would consider to be Virginia, the Cumberland Gap area, right there at where the bridges are, out in that area, Pikeville, all that area, Painesville, all that area over there. Very rural. But it's cave area. There are caves all throughout Kentucky. And again, I would challenge anybody to look at it. You're going to see the weirdness of it is because it's all within the area of 37th parallel.
And so you and I were talking a few days ago. When, in fact, it was the day I think we were watching Hilliard. You were saying the cave system that they're talking about in this documentary, or this series actually, I believe it's actually a series of episodes. But the cave system they're describing isn't as big as they portray. Was that right?
Actually, the cave system that they're comparing it to is Mammoth Cave, okay?
Right.
Mammoth Cave is the largest. It's the largest one in the world. We don't even know how big Mammoth Cave is. All right, and only a small percentage of Mammoth Cave has been actually had an expedition in or looked into.
Challenge.
Oh yeah, because there's a lot of mystery stuff around there. But everywhere else, there's other caves change and everything else that could be all related to the Mammoth Cave Park, but it has never been associated with it because cave systems are everywhere. You've got caves out where you're at, right?
Oh yeah, we have. In fact, aren't there caves up on Cumberland Pass, Jamie?
Yes, but the ones that we're interested in are Baker Lake Highway, Eric.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Well,
and I mean, you can't. You can't say, hey, the world's largest cave system is in Kentucky. It's Mammoth Cave, but it could go all the way out to you guys' cave? No, that's what they mean. It's not proven. So,
right.
They're leading other stuff off, and it may be a totally different cave system. It could be in a different area, But the stuff about Hilliard, what really irks me is they out of a paranormal group comes in. There have been several people in this area that have looked into those claims, into both cases of death. Didn't even talk to anybody in Kentucky. They just come in here and said, hey, we're going to do this. And they tie it to synchronicity. All right?
Yeah.
And, sorry, synchronicity is not the key. Not the key. Sorry about that. Synchronicity does happen, and there are some things, but, they sold the movie Hilliard as synchronicity. What I can tell you about it is there are, and I don't know what you would call them, imps, ferals, whatever, and they may have been underground and living underground for millions of years. I don't know, but there are these things that are living underground here. We've had speculation. Some of the people in Kentucky believe, hey, we have these earth terminals here all the time. We have these like ground shakes and everything else. There are caves, salt mines, everything else out here that they believe that the government has taken over, doing weird experiments in everything else, mushroom caves, and so there you go. There's so many different theories about it, but some people believe that that's the now they are battling these things and they're blowing them up underground.
And though. So anything, most of your creatures that are cave dwellers don't have hair. They can't grow hair because there's no sunlight.
Right.
So they're sitting there talking about these things like they're alien. Well, yeah, they're alien to us because we've never seen them before. That's as far as they go. They're not extraterrestrial.
No, yeah.
And
I mean, we're at, and three-toed, golly.
And in this docu-series or a series of episodes, you see the tracks. Now,
yes,
tracks can be faked. I don't think they faked them. I'll give them that.
I've seen tracks like that before they ever came out with this movie, and I'm talking back in 2000 and first time I saw that, it was over in that area, was somewhere around 2010.
Okay, so we're not talking like Alien, we're talking more like The Descent.
I could see that.
Yeah, I could that. Yep.
I could see that for sure. I would, in appearance and in how they act, I would classify them as an imp. Imp.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you remember when I was telling you about the rumor had it about the underground hidden military thing up there in Rockport, Marble Mount area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's a whole string of ice caves up there too. And then there's the whole mountainside. The whole mountainside is filled of caves with talc mines and everything else up in that area. But I found it interesting that nobody has ever actually been able to, verify or validate the fact that there is some kind of military operation being hid up on that mountain up there. And the caves and stuff are completely, all the mines and stuff that were, they went down to the county and people, whether they deregister them or whatever, none of them were allowed to reopen them again.
And
in that whole area out there.
So on that note, too, what's curious is the volcanic caverns off of Sauk Mountain. There's supposed to be caverns off the back of Sauk Mountain that are actually volcanic vents that go to Mount Baker. I could very easily see some of these creatures being in there.
You know what's funny? I just saw that someone is renting out caves in Leavenworth, Washington, on Airbnb.
Oh, no.
There you go.
Heck,
there's missing people up there,
So PBR is asking tracks of what? So these are, and Barry, you actually seen them. You can probably describe them better than I can, but they are three-toed tracks.
Yes, they are three-toed tracks. Have seen them before. Even long. I've actually seen them with longer fingernails, like coming out of the center of them. That make it look like almost like a finger on top of a nub that comes out. Very weird, very odd. But the other side about it is that I look at this and we talk about imp and we talk about all this stuff. Let's go back to really blow some people's minds. I would almost classify them as, because of the missing people in the area, because of the dangers that we have here,
right,
and all the stuff that's hidden. How about if you take them back into rake-like?
Okay.
Ooh, I love that reply.
I could possibly see that.
Vampiric rake. I mean, and
that reaction.
Yeah, let's not take it to that. I don't want to believe in that.
Okay, so
I'm going to look at your.
Okay, let's just say that it is a shaved three-toed sloth from the Jurassic period that came back and it's living in the cave, right?
So, you're familiar with David Paulides' work, are you not?
411.
Yep. Do you have any clusters in your area from David Paulides' cluster map?
And if you want to talk about Kentucky and all that area, tons of them. If you take his cluster map,
Right.
you will see there are in that area where they are. Yes, you're going to see clusters where these things are.
But if they're little imps, how did they take them away?
Because they're rake.
Right?
Oh, no, they're not. Stop it. Okay.
Oh.
No.
Great
Nope.
dreams, everybody.
So it'd be really easy for a person to disappear if one of these creatures was to pop up out of a mammoth cave and just pull them into the cave.
Right, exactly.
And that's exactly why I, for one, would appreciate you get ahead on this thing, Eric, before they do abduct me.
Oh, they're not going to abduct you. Don't
Yeah, they're going
worry.
to take Kayla before they take anyone else.
No,
Don't worry about it.
nobody is
They're
taking me
coming to
anywhere.
me.
It's not happening.
And that's why you're
Oh,
moving.
no,
on.
that light's there every year.
That's why you're moving your trailer on our side of the pasture.
Yes, because you won't come to my side.
Well, it's harder to move a house.
Damn.
So we are going to do an expedition up Haystack Mountain this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. I'm okay.
Because,
Go to the
Cumberland
place there is
Pass,
no sound.
but Cumberland Pass and Finney Creek is all tied in and connected to Haystack, which I know for a fact has some weird shit going on.
Yeah, but mostly at the bottom,
roamed
Eric.
I've roamed these hills. No,
It's
I've roamed these
bottomless.
hills like with the
It's like
dinosaurs
Mel's
and stuff. And there is some weird stuff, man.
Oh yeah. I have no doubt we are gonna go up there and I know Mark wants to come here and set up a lab, and we'll have our own science lab set up for testing samples and whatnot.
And making meth. I mean, no.
Oh yeah, the top of
No.
Cumberland.
No,
Well, we got neighbors for that.
don't say that shit.
Welcome
God
to
damn.
Kentucky.
You said it was explicit. My bad. Okay.
Oh.
And you people are supposed to me.
Oh.
That's great.
So no, it is 2020. We are gonna be doing a lot more events. I know we are planning on taking S4 and having a booth potentially at the Seaside Paranormal Conference in Oregon. Probably getting that information wrong, but that is on the radar for us. And just getting the word about S4 and what we're planning on doing out there. We'd like to go to...
Yes, we are looking at going to the Oregon Ghost Conference
There
on
you
March
go.
27th to 29th at Seaside Civic and Convention Center. So hopefully we will be there if they accept us.
Yeah.
If you're listening, please accept us.
Right?
No, Joe, I already took time off work.
No.
So.
Oh, no.
We're also going to have a booth at the Skagit County
Seaside.
Fair again this year.
Yep, we're going to do a booth at the Skagit County Fair. We're going to be doing a lot more research, a lot more intensive work.
Awesome.
Eric Cooper.
Yes.
In Seaside, Oregon, there's a high-ranking official that just happens to be an owner of a certain piece of property up the Baker Lake Highway.
Really?
Just
Really?
saying.
Okay,
Yes.
well, we will talk offline about that.
Yes. We'll say hello, cousin.
Speaking of the Baker Lake Highway, are you talking about... Oh, yeah, the Baker Lake Highway.
Yes.
That is where there's a
Baker
whole
Lake
family
Our
of
Baker Lake
Bigfoot.
Highway.
Huh?
Our Baker Lake Highway.
Oh, wait. So PBR is mentioning the spirit of the bottomless pit. Okay, let's talk about the bottomless pit for a second.
Which one?
Because
Which
right
one?
here in Skagit County is Devil's Lake.
Ah, poo.
No, Devil's Lake is supposed to be bottomless. They've never found the bottom to Devil's Lake.
Yeah.
I grew up at Big Lake.
Yeah.
And that
I
is
have
where-
never looked at the bottom of any lake.
No. Rumors have it, if you try to go up the backside of the mountain to get to Devil's Lake, you will encounter men in black with weapons. So, marijuana is legal in Washington, so I really doubt they're trying to hide marijuana plants. What are they trying to hide at Devil's Lake?
Devil's Lake and Devil's Lettuce. Sounded a lot of
Makes
fun.
you wonder.
Yeah.
I want to get our drone operator.
They're not hiding anything.
Dude,
they
you
put it in
can't-
the title.
You can't.
It's the entrance to hell.
You can't
That's right.
ride a drone over that.
I bet you could.
Not when it's a blackout zone. You had me map all the blackout zones. You cannot drive a drone over top of that.
No.
Yeah, but that'd be kinfolk.
It's not blacked out because it's not national forest.
It is.
Devil's Lake?
You had me look up every blackout zone and every no-fly zone.
Man,
And
they
yes,
take-
that
they-
is on the list.
Yeah, but they just have to catch us then.
They take.
mean,
they take.
I was
you
going to
go.
say, so much for pleading ignorance, y'all.
But I want to take a drone into some of these caves.
Those are all blackout. No.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't.
Most of the caves you can't because of the ecosystem in a cave, and they'll say, "Oh, the drone's going to do something to the
No,
ecosystem."
seriously. Most of the caves are blackout
Okay,
zones.
okay.
You're
Wait,
no flies.
man. Okay, then I'm going to get a robot. I'm going to get a robot and send him into the cave.
Oh my God! Let's just tie a rope
go
on
right
one of our
over the
children
fence.
and send them into the cave.
Yeah.
Well, we can't get the kind of weapons we need to handle some of these creatures we'll be encountering.
Oh,
Ah,
all you need is your mind, sir.
So I'm
It's all
curious.
within you. That's what I
I'm
always tell
curious
everybody. I
if
said,
salt
that is
rock
true.
I'm curious if
All you
salt
need is
rock
your
would handle some of these.
I have this weird thing with mercury, right?
Well, they got all kinds of mercury caves around here too. So, do you have any mercury caves in Kentucky, Barry?
Golly, I have not heard of a mercury cave in Kentucky, but it doesn't mean that there is not one. I'm just not up on it because there are so many different cave systems, so many different types of cave things down here that you're right. And we have the bottomless pits everywhere around here. There are claims of bottomless pits throughout the country and throughout Kentucky. And what we call blue holes or anything like that. We just don't. Some of the areas that you have some of this mystery stuff at, and some of the lakes that you have out there are areas that are mysteriously old mines that have been taken over by strange white vehicles with no DOT stuff on it, running the highways, which is illegal. Different kinds of white vehicles. They're all fenced in, and they're working all hours of the night, and they all have government tags on them. So you tell me what's going on.
I can get around them now.
This is my pet project.
Oh yeah. Now, what's curious, you describe all white vehicles. Now, I remember back in the 90s, there were people that were jumping up and down saying the UN was seen
Black vehicles
going across our highways and into our national forests. Do you remember hearing those stories?
Yeah, I sure do. And
Because,
it's like going. I remember seeing the SUV order that was down in Jacksonville, and they were all white. So
yeah.
Strangely enough, so
they
are the
order-
EPA vehicles.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
check that out.
Yeah, and then
They had a
you're
whole
also
fleet of
like
them
going,
underneath Northern State.
right. But I mean,
They had a
everything's a
whole fleet
government
of them.
vehicle,
Yeah.
But nowadays, you see everything. They're driving everything. It's always got a government tag on the back of it.
No
I mean,
joke,
around here.
man. There is like this sneaker cop up here that rides around in an old Ford. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Strictly.
Oh,
the,
Danny wants to go into the cave. Oh, where you at, Danny? We'll
All
pull you
right,
into
let's
the
get
cave.
some rope.
We'll send you into the
Got
cave.
this.
Oh,
A lot of cave has been going on here for a long time too, and there's a lot of stories. There's a lot of interesting things, but the best thing to do is be able to go out and explore it and hope that you get back home and you're alive.
yeah.
But,
Which
it's
brings
one
up
of those-
another movie, isn't it? 127 Hours.
I don't remember that one either.
The guy that
God damn
got
it, there's another
crushed
one.
and stuck in the cave.
cave. Yeah.
I just remember 30 Days of Night. That was.
Hey, but I will throw this out there. Anybody who's planning on going into any cave anywhere, take a secondary person with you and make sure that everybody knows your plan and your routing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you know,
I would just say, though, that like that 127 hours, if I was in that situation, I wouldn't have whined as much as he did.
Well, that was because of.
I would have had no problem chopping that guy's arm off.
I know that.
I'm just saying.
If he dies, he dies.
Oh, so
it might have gone to 247 hours. We might have needed to eat something too.
You know,
Clark bars.
you bring up always having a partner. So this question came up in another paranormal group about somebody that wanted to investigate the paranormal by themselves, and that's never a good idea anyway. I mean, whether you're going to Northern State, whether you're going, always tell somebody where you're going, and better yet, take a buddy. That way, at least one you can go for help when the demon's grabbing you by the throat and pulling you down to or whatever. But yeah, yes, I went there. but no,
also,
huh?
What about validation? If you go by yourself. If you have somebody there with you and it's a witness and they see the same thing you saw or, whatever, you have validation. You've got a person that's also going to be able to be there with you. If you both die, you don't die alone, so it's pretty good.
Guys, if you're going to take someone, you don't take someone you like. You take someone you don't really like. That way, when it comes to you being chased, you can trip them and leave.
That's right.
Absolutely. As long as you can make sure they're slower than you.
Is that why you're taking me on the walks? Damn.
The older I've slowed down too much. So, I mean, I'm the number one thing on everybody's list. Hey, I don't care. Take Bear with you because anybody can outrun Bear.
That's so wrong. Anyway, so we're down to the last half hour of the show, and I love having you on the show tonight, Barry, because I want to talk about abduction for the last half hour. Okay. We always talk abduction at least every other month, every couple months, because to me it's important to talk about. Everybody talks about the hauntings. Everybody talks about Bigfoot. The abduction side doesn't get enough honest discussion.
I'm trying.
Huh?
I said I'm trying. Y'all gonna let me get abducted though?
No, you don't. Be careful what you ask for. Woman.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
No, I'll take step in front of it, Eric.
Yeah.
So what I like to do every couple months though is go over the signs and symptoms of an abduction. For those that because like I said, over the last 15 years, last 30 years, when people start describing their experience, they have no clue. Alien is the last thing on their mind.
Sure, exactly.
And we talked about that earlier in the show. And like we said on the show too, there's always this infighting. You go to a paranormal group on Facebook and you talk about aliens. You damn near get one out of the group. Aliens aren't paranormal. There's no such thing as aliens. You can believe in a spirit, but you can't believe in an alien. And all the galaxies that we know exist. You go to the Bigfoot sites, the cryptid sites, and you bring up spirits or aliens. Oh my God. That's not, Bigfoot's not paranormal, and there's no such thing as aliens either. You can believe in an ape-like creature, but you can't believe aliens might exist.
Why do you keep looking over there?
Because the light came on. It's Bigfoot looking in the window. No?
No.
It's the alien looking at you saying, what are you talking about me?
Oh, that's Carl.
No, it's our neighbor. Check it out.
Anyway, so what are the signs and symptoms that you found with the abductees that you encountered, Barry?
That's a good question. When we look at it and some of the signs, and we're talking, the stuff that you're throwing at me just a minute ago, so critical, and right now I'm trying to get my mind going because my mind totally went blank. So I'm backpedaling.
It's okay. I'll help you out. For any new listeners that are actually really intrigued and interested in the abduction field, look for Secret Life of Alien Abduction by Dr. David Jacobs. That was the very first book I found in '94 when I got thrust into the abduction field quite brashly. But so when you're talking patterns, one of the big key elements is you'll have somebody, they witnessed a UFO, and they see this light in the sky, they see a craft in the sky, and they're watching this craft, and it's hovering, and then all of a sudden, it's going the opposite direction. And then they realize, or they'll have family members, for example, come out and say, "Where have you been?" And there's like 2 or 3 hours of missing time. Those are really big red flags for one. Why are you looking at me skeptically?
Always.
Because I know where I was in that situation.
Okay.
I was pooping.
Oh,
Oh, God.
That's just too TMI. Just TMI.
There are so many
you've got
similarities.
Huh?
I mean, there are a lot of similarities that we were talking about that continually happen over and over again, and we mentioned a few of them earlier. Mm-hmm. But the whole setup is how we've moved through it. I think that is so critical. Hang on just a second. I'll be right back. I got a small little problem here.
Okay.
Got a grandbaby.
The missing time and the craft are two big indicators, but not always. You can take that scenario out of the equation and still dream activity, dream of aliens, dream of being on a craft, and that's where the dream journal comes in.
Eyes, the owl eyes, and
the owl eyes. So a lot of times the owl eyes and the deer eyes stem from childhood. That's how they get children accustomed. And with that is, you'll have people that have a dream that they're walking in the woods. And they'll wake up, and sure enough, their feet are muddy. There's mud on the sheets because they actually did walk through the woods. And they followed an owl, which actually became 2 or 3 small creatures. Another indicator is bloody nose. And oftentimes with the bloody nose, it's not that they're awake and their nose started bleeding. They wake up and there's blood on their pillow. Again, we always tell people, make sure you go get a medical screening, make sure you aren't anemic, make sure you're not, because bloody nose could also be dry air.
Make sure your wife didn't punch you in the face in your sleep.
Well, you'd feel that.
You deserved it.
No, I didn't.
And keep track of your neighbors.
Yeah.
Huh? Blame it on the neighbors?
No, talk to your neighbors.
Keep track of your neighbors, Eric Cooper.
Oh, yeah. Neighbors might even have seen a craft over your house.
Yeah. Save your neighbors, Eric.
But with that...
Save your neighbors.
Huh?
I apologize for walking out on you guys there. Had just a little situation that I guess I got a little loud. Woke somebody up.
Those damn hellier imps.
Yes. I've got my grandkids here this weekend, so.
Gotcha.
Oh, rock on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's always fun.
Good morning, kids.
Yeah. That's it, exactly. Hallelujah.
Time for Grandpa to make pancakes.
Yeah.
So when you look at physical marks, you have some abductees that wake up and they have bruises in unusual spots.
Or scratches.
And the first thing I ask, do you have a cat or dog? Do you have a sleeping partner?
Sometimes it's an alien.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was laughing about the scooting marks.
The other marks. The other is scoot marks.
When half of your board thought you were saying scoot marks.
Huh?
What?
You guys were talking about the scoot marks, right? We all thought you were talking about scoot marks, and we could not figure out what you were talking about.
Oh, we ain't gotten a scoot mark yet.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, since Jami brought it up, yes, scoop marks.
Hey.
So what are scoop marks? Scoop marks looks like you took a little tiny spoon.
Like a cocaine spoon.
I wouldn't know what a cocaine spoon looks like. But
Let's just say a mini ice cream scoop.
You're 50. I don't believe you for a second.
I don't. But anyway, and you're
They're not going to come and take you all.
That also explains the bloody noses, guys.
It certainly does.
So you take this little tiny spoon and you scoop skin away to where it makes it like a divot. Those are scoop marks.
So biopsy marks.
And then you have a raise in your skin. And that's usually caused by the implant. So it's usually behind the ear. Oftentimes you'll have implants in your nasal cavity, in your legs, in your feet, in your toes, shoulder.
Shoulder is becoming big right now. I see a lot of shoulders.
Back of the shoulder, right?
Back shoulder, exactly.
So all of the places that you're talking about, though, those are that would be right on your lymph node area, like in your lymphatic system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Well, I can see where you're going with it, and a lot of people say, "Yep, lips, nose, everything else." But the weird thing about it is, if you also also add into the factor that these rashes. Have you heard about rashes?
Yeah,
in the areas.
I think that's caused by radiation, is it not?
It could be by radiation. Could be the reaction that we have, maybe from them touching us. They're
lubricants,
or the lubricants that we're not used to. It's like we're all allergic to.
Like, people get rashes all the time with different heavy metal poisonings. If it's a type of metal that our body isn't used to, then that in itself can cause a rash.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. We're talking about abduction. There's no way I'm not bringing up probing.
Oh, of course. And I haven't heard about it a whole lot, but in Fire in the Sky, when they portray the needle coming into his eyeball.
Yes.
Have you heard a whole lot? How many abduction cases have you heard describe that instrument?
I've heard different described. Mm-hmm. I have a deal with the eyeball myself, and the way I could describe it was his eye coming onto mine like a butterfly kiss. But I think that's the way my mind treats it.
Right.
If you go where I'm at.
Yeah.
I've had probably 6 that have said something. Just off the top of my head, I'd say 6. Through the time that have said something about being penetrated in the eye or the side of their eye.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what the white fluid was that they put in his eye before they did that.
Cocaine.
Well, no, I wouldn't imagine it'd be cocaine or anything like that. Like I'm saying a pain reducer because
like lidocaine,
but Greys don't feel pain, so they wouldn't.
No. Exactly. I think I think a lot of the confusion is absolutely right. Most of the races don't have emotion, so they wouldn't understand pain. Mm-hmm. So while they don't intend to cause trauma and harm, they do, and that that's where the human side has to help abductions because whether they're doing it for science or not, they're causing harm.
You ever think that maybe they're doing it just for the emotional? Maybe since they don't have emotion, they like to watch us have emotion, and it's like watching their favorite video of all time. Oh, look what we can do to this guy, and look what he does. And since they can't feel it, they want to see it.
So you're talking about alien YouTube.
Alien
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Now, what I could see that, but I also kind of equate that to the races that are showing apocalyptic scenes on the screen.
Right.
You know,
And how many
look, we have a mushroom cloud looking thing, and this guy's freaking out. Check him out. You know.
Yeah.
Well, think of what one of the most popular things in the early 2000s was bum fights.
Yep.
Bum fights.
So they would go into an urban area, get a bunch of homeless people together, and throw a pack of cigarettes
Fire
in the middle
bombs.
and let them
Stuff
fight.
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, bum fights. Yep.
Yeah, so he's right. It could be a possibility that is exactly what they're doing. Maybe they're just as messed up as we are.
Could be.
That's a good possibility.
Golly, I lost my thought again. I'm sorry. Sorry. It's
Oh, you're
hey,
fine.
when you go when you go to the new time, have me back on because.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you know what you were just talking about, Eric. You brought up something that stung me in the head, and I can't think of it right now. And I want to bring it back, but
The implants.
I found it. No, just before we started this thing, you were talking about. Shoot. Yeah. No. It was only about a few seconds ago. But I apologize again. I hate to do that to y'all, and
No, hey,
makes me seem like makes me seem like a dumbass. But
Oh no, not.
yeah.
it's late for us. I can't imagine what this is like for you. So
It's going on 4 in the morning.
Hey, I'm about ready to have breakfast, man. I'm going on 4 o'clock in the morning. Hey,
Right. So I do want to bring implants back up though, because so there's different types of implants that we've encountered over the years.
breast.
Huh? No. So you've got the implant that we know is a tracker, and so it's a tracker because you have an abductee. He wants to get away from the abduction experience. He packs his stuff up. He moves. He moves across, to another continent. They can still find him. It's a location tracker.
Right.
Those are usually the nasal cavity. Those are usually the one that's behind the ear, at the base of the neck, and I believe in the fingers, the toes. Those are the tracking implants. The other implant, and I do have a theory about this one, because in the 90s and into the early 2000s, the gray hybrid program, they were actually when they abducted females, they would implant them with a fetus on the ship. Gestation period, I believe, was 4 weeks, if I remember right, 2 to 4 weeks. They'd re-abduct, remove the fetus, and return the woman. So you have a missing fetus. There's no sign of an abortion. There's no sign that
Miscarriage.
there's no miscarriage or nothing. Just a missing fetus.
Yeah.
Now they are allowed to, instead of being re-abducted and the fetus is taken out, they actually give a natural childbirth here on Earth, and it's a hybrid, very human looking. We've had two or three cases that we actually dealt with where it was a proven hybrid. Now, if you're a hybrid child and you go to the doctor, wouldn't you think alien DNA will come up in the blood test?
No, not if we are seeded by the aliens and it's all they are us.
Well, that's where my theory comes in, is couldn't it be feasible that they have their own implant that actually adjusts their DNA to match human?
Could be. I mean, that's a... We're... one of the things about it is what I always tell people, and we all have to think this way, is that you've got to have an open mind but you can't have an open mind so far that your brain falls out.
Right.
But that's my favorite kind of open mind.
But yeah, there's so many possibilities. There's so many things involved in it, Eric. It's like going. We were Melissa Kennedy's book on the blood types and the changes of the blood and the Rh factors that she's doing in the series that she's doing. Just fantastic stuff. You look at it and you go, "Oh, I mean, how is it that we can a female can have a baby that does not Rh factor and Rh factor babies get along real good together. The ones that do not have Rh and the ones that do have Rh don't.
Yeah.
Mom and dad poisons it. But guess what? We give it a shot. And shots are given to the mother so that it helps the baby out, or to the baby so that they can adapt to it and they change what it's going to. So yeah, your point is very active. I mean, yes, I think we can do that.
Well, you also got to look at modern technology and everything else, and there's still diseases, there's still things out there, there's still all of these unknowns and once in a million things that happen to certain people, and nobody else in the entire history of the planet has ever had this happen. It's a new disease, a new whatever. Well, not necessarily. Nobody in the history of our planet has had that happen.
That's correct. Yeah, you're right. It hasn't happened here, or it does happen here. And we are vast with the things like, golly, I mean, look what we're dealing with right now. I mean, do we have all the secrets? Do we have all the things? Did they come to us and cure cancer? And I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how some of these guys are still living that have been back in the Nixon and the other administrations. Like Cheney. How is Cheney still alive, right? I mean, this guy has had 40 heart attacks, 8,
Okay,
and,
the one that always got
alive?
me was Stephen Hawking's. Okay? Up until, his death. But he lived how many years past his life expectancy of 2 years?
And he was...
I mean, come on.
And he, right before he died, he was terrified of aliens and warned, anyone who would listen about the agenda of aliens.
Yes. Yeah. All being negative. Yeah.
So we are getting close to the end of the show. Barry, where can we find Night Stalkers?
You can find them on Facebook. You can find them. We're working on our new website, and I apologize it's not up yet. Our tech lord is busy on doing that, changing some things on our Facebook page. You can find me on Facebook also. MUFON, you can find at www.mufon.com. You can find a chapter near you if you're interested in it. You can report 24/7 on our report system. We do let you come on and you can look at the last 20 reports as they come through. Great website, great opportunity. And believe me, if you see something, report it. I don't care who you report it to. It doesn't have to be MUFON or anything else, but let's get everybody to say, report your sightings, because that's what gets us all together and brings all the bits and pieces together. Exactly. Octagon Hall, you can find Octagon Hall at www.octagonhallmuseum.com. Great place, great history, great haunt. Also, you can reserve it and everything else. Society of the Supernatural, website Society of the Supernatural, and also Society of the Supernatural on Facebook.
And where can we find, and when is Into the Fire?
Into the Fire is on Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Central time, and 9 p.m. Eastern time. And it is on Blog Talk Radio. And it would be blogtalkradio.com/Into the Far.
All right, and that's your show.
That's our show. Yep, and co-host is Eric Mitchell with me. This week we did. Last week I interviewed Eric. It's kind of funny. And this week, guess what? We reversed tables, and Eric is going to interview me.
Oh, excellent!
So
excellent.
I don't know if that's going to be good or not.
It's going to be an interesting
but yeah,
show.
we have some great guests, and we have some good times. And we cover it for 2 hours, and we've been very blessed. And Eric, you've actually been on the show, and we need to have you back also.
I've been on your show a couple times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have a fun show. So next week, join us Sunday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Pacific Standard Time.
Next week we have, tentatively, as long as she's feeling better, we have Deborah Jane East. She is a former radio host as well as an author of 2 different books. A longtime friend of S4. And we're going to have her on the show and catch up and see what she's been up to. So that's next Sunday. S4 moves to Sunday nights, 7 to 10 p.m. again. We do have some new sponsors coming up soon. And I want to thank everyone for being on the show tonight. Great show. Always is. Especially when we have Barry on the show. Love hearing Barry's stories. Always awesome having him on the show.
Yeah.
So thank you for being on.
We thank you for having me, and give me out of 7. Oh my God, please. Y'all have a good one. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Always fun having Jami back. We miss Jami. Jami's going to be moving back here in March, right? Jami, where did you go, Jami?
Jami left.
Jami left. What? All right.
For all our listeners out there, don't forget to get over to www.s-4radio.com and make sure you get into our store and check out our swag. We have awesome things, including a shower curtain that features one heck of a troll. You need this shower curtain.
And if you need your taxes done, don't forget Zip Refund Office will be open on Wednesday, 1080 Darrington Street in Darrington, Washington.
You can also find them on Facebook at Zip Refund /Darrington, Washington.
Yep. So, on that, thank you for listening. Without you, we wouldn't have an S4. We love our listeners. And keep your eyes to the skies.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.